just getting into the show, I'm personally going to make it clear I'm upset about this one. I'm upset about this, and I don't have any clips to play. I don't have anything else. It does look like while I was getting ready for the show, Trump has announced via social media that a 2 week moratorium or delay or whatever phrase you want to put in there, they've delayed this comment of a whole civilization will die tonight. I'm really fucking upset about this from a single standpoint of you've been hearing from MAGA since this took place that this is not a war, it wasn't declared by Congress, and all of this other stuff. We were literally about to let one man commit a whole act of genocide on our behalf without getting clearance from anybody. You don't hear the Republican Congress making much noise about this at all. Certainly nowhere near as much as they should be making. President Obama apologizes to a few nations and they're going apeshit because he's on an apology tour. This guy, our current commander-in-chief, literally was threatening to commit an act of genocide. And most of the Republican Party wasn't saying shit. Look, regardless of how you feel about Iran being a state sponsor of terror, not wanting them to obtain a nuclear weapon, I get it. Every president in our lifetime has felt the same way. But to allow one single person, being President Trump, one single person to literally take us up to the point of committing an act of genocide by himself. He hasn't gotten approval from Congress. He hasn't got approval from anyone. We were willing to sit idly by and let him commit an act of genocide by himself. How the hell does that happen? When he starts threatening to wipe out a whole civilization, where the hell is Congress, the Senate? Where the hell are the powers that be? You're letting this man threaten genocide on the behalf of the United States. All of us, that he's representing all of us when he say this. He is literally dragging us all under the banner of we're all supporting genocide. The whole country, politically, at the levels that matter, are being quiet while this man is threatening to commit an act of genocide. How the hell does that happen? For folks who have pushed back on the No Kings protests, he's not a king, you liberals look crazy doing this. Tell me, what the hell is this? How could one man threaten to commit genocide in the whole country at the political level stand back and do nothing? There should have been emergency meetings to stop this. I mean, they literally left it up to him to decide he ain't gonna do it. Now, I see the comments, taco, Trump always chickens out or whatever. This is one case of him being a taco where you should be happy. Do you want him to carry out an act of genocide in all of our names? Remember, if he does this, that is America committing an act of genocide. It's not just President Trump. He literally was about to commit an act of genocide in our name. In the comments, real quick, like I said, I don't like to block, ban, or censor anybody, but we do apparently have a spammer, so I'm just going to, in effort to keep the show going, I'm just going to block you if you want to play spamming. But we literally are going to sit back and watch this man commit an act of genocide in our name. I don't understand why anyone would. I don't know why wouldn't there be more people outraged about this? Now, I went and checked out some of our some of the pages of our allies, even in Starmer over in England and things like that. Their citizens are pissed off. Their citizens are pissed off that, and I'm talking about even the English citizens. Their citizens are pissed off that we're allowing, or better yet, that they are allowing America to use bases to launch attacks and things like that. They're pissed off about this. And now, one man, I'm still stuck on this. How could one man threaten to commit genocide and none of the countries stand up and say, look, if you don't believe they should have a nuclear weapon, that's one thing. We obviously want the Strait of Hormuz open. That's another thing. You wanted regime change, but to literally threaten to wipe the Iranian people off the map, their entire civilization, tell me how that's justified. Remember, we are the ones that are suggesting that we don't want them to have an atomic weapon because we don't want them to attack America or hurt our civilization. We look like we are actually doing what we're accusing them of maybe doing in the future. Blue One Banks, appreciate the galaxy. So we're accusing them of something and suggesting that to prevent you from doing this, we're going to do it to you. To prevent you from using a nuclear weapon and harming other innocent societies, we're going to just wipe you off the map. We're going to do what we're accusing you of possibly doing. How bad does this make us look? How the hell can we come out of this being a good guy in any way, shape, or form? This is way above, I put it in the category of overkill. Now, based on, as I said in the beginning of this monologue, it looks like Trump has put a 2-week moratorium on this. Pakistan, the nation of Pakistan, has been trying to negotiate a ceasefire. I don't know if Trump really was going to do this. I see all of the taco comments and things like that. Many people believe he was not going to carry out with this action. However, the fact that America at the Washington level, at the national level, were idly sitting by, leaving it up to him to chicken out, speaks volumes. Yeah, he actually put it on hold. It looks like he's chickening out. But they were going to let him make that decision. The Pentagon laid out an array of what they're referring to as dual use targets. In other words, they were confident what Trump was threatening to do was a war crime, but to appease him, they were going to bomb targets that they could suggest was a dual use target, meaning it's not only used by innocent civilians, maybe the military could use it. So you blow up a highway or a bridge and say, well, they might have been using that to transport military personnel across it. So that way you could try to skirt the notion that you committed a war crime. Dual use targets. Wow. Now, like I said, right now they have a 2-week delay on this. That just came in about, 10 minutes or so ago. But in addition to this, some of you folks may have heard the Iranians formed a human chain around some of these particular targets. We're talking about energy plants, desalination places. So they clearly were willing to perish in Trump's effort to wipe their civilization off the face of the earth. If there is one thing that we should take away from this, let's take the taco part out of it and look at the Iranians. They did not chicken out. They didn't bow down to Trump's demands, and they literally formed human chains around the targets that we were focusing on. They were prepared to die. So let's finally get one thing in the clear. You're not going to bomb them into submission. You threatened to bomb particular targets in Iran, and innocent civilians, in effort to defy the United States, went to the targets they were expecting to get bombed and formed a human chain around them. They were willing to die tonight. So anyone from now on, let's be clear, Trump is not going to bomb his way to glory on this. Yeah, you could wipe the civilization off the face of the earth like he promised, but that's the only way you're going to get them to back down, is where there are no more of them left. They made it clear that they were willing to die tonight for a cause. They did not back down. They're not Mexican. They don't make tacos in Iran. So let me get to the program, because like I said, I'm a bit upset that the entire Republican Congress and powers that be just stood down and idly let this go by. Was just going to let this guy commit genocide on our behalf. Hopefully some of you folks can paint a more rosy picture of this, because it looks horrible to me. But we'll go straight to the comments, straight to the box. The program will be operated as it always is. It still is MAGA friendly. We still don't block, ban, or censor anyone. You still can be critical of anybody on the program, including yours truly, and our comments still continue to go left of Bernie Sanders till I'm having dinner with Q. So looking in the comments, what do you expect from a piece of shit like Trump, says Lisa. I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting a man to get in there who promised no more wars, no more forever wars, to now be talking about genocide. I wasn't expecting that. So I'm going to say that. I was not expecting that. But now it is clear. And this guy wanted a World Peace Prize. What? Hot damn. This guy was just trying to get a World Peace Prize a few months ago. A Nobel Peace Prize. A Nobel Peace Prize just a few months ago. God, can you imagine if they had given him that? How bad that would look on those who decided to award him with a Nobel Peace Prize? Even the current leadership in Venezuela who gave him her prize. Surely somebody is calling her on the phone like, you look like an idiot. You look like an idiot. Now, not only did he take out our leader, he's in Iran, and now he's threatening Cuba next. And you gave him your Nobel Peace Prize. You look like an idiot. So looking in the comments, Trump is saving his ass. How? How Trump is saving your ass, somebody says. And once again, I'll say, how? How is Trump saving my ass? Trump failed up to this point on his running points. He is failing worse than his first, and people think he can run a third. Yeah, I don't know. The Trump 2028 crowd probably is a little bit more silent than it used to be. Candace Owens, based on his Easter message, open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards. Candace Owens is now calling it a satanic administration. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying Trump is evil. Even Alex Jones is suggesting they use the 25th Amendment and get rid of him. Alex Jones, who would have thought? And then, of course, the Megyn Kellys and Joe Rogans. I mean, it ain't just crazy liberals anymore. There are prominent members of the right. Tucker Carlson is another one that is all over him. Prominent members of the right are now pointing out, you're going a bit too far. You know, touting Allah. Oh, you know, he's posting shit talking about praise Allah and all of that. He's going too far even among some of the elite personalities on the right. So looking in the comments, a few hundred from Iran doesn't equate to all of Iran. The man said it was going to be the end of civilization. I'm going by his words. His words. He said it was going to be the end of a civilization. You don't end a civilization by taking out a few hundred people. I'm going by his words. Enlist, my guy, sign your name on the dotted line and swear in like 1% real patriots did. Listen, let me tell you something. Even if I was young enough to enlist and had the desire to do so, I'm not going to enlist and participate in a fucking genocide. That you don't get any cool points for slaughtering folks that have no Navy, no Air Force, and are just fish in a barrel. You know, you're blowing up bridges and shit around town. You don't get, look, at some point, this could lead our military, who we have the utmost respect for, to start being treated like the military coming home from Vietnam. At some point, even though you're following orders, you know you're killing innocent people. I mean, at this point, you're killing folks that are defenseless. If you've heard that they surrounded a school with a human chain of innocent, or not a school, but a power plant, you blow that up, you're following orders to kill innocent people. Tap the screen if you want. Help your boy out with the hat mustache go. You know how the program run. I'm going to still promote that. But I will go to the box and we'll go to Toots Sweet. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Hopefully I got my damn volume up. I can't believe this, though. Toots Sweet, good evening.
How you doing, my man?
I'm doing
Long
good.
Time.
Appreciate you coming in. So were you in favor of what Trump was doing, suggesting he wanted to end a civilization if they didn't open it straight?
See, I know Trump. I know what he does. I know how he does things to get reactions. It's all part of the art of the deal, which is all part of the art of war. If you understood Sun Tzu's Art of War. He does things. Everything he does, it's not. You think he's not gonna genocide a whole people? I mean, come on.
So what are you suggesting? That the whole world should be smart enough to know that he's only talking shit?
But all right, so you're mad about when he talks.
We're focusing on Trump. I know you're eager to deflect to another president, but let's focus on what this man said.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's about if words concern you so much. Other people said crazy stuff, but that doesn't concern you. But when Trump says,
give me an example of another president that threatened to take out a whole civilization. Give me a comparable. Give me something comparable.
Okay, well, you heard Hillary say it. You heard
she's not a president. Hillary Clinton has never been president.
You heard Biden say it. You heard Obama say it. You heard every
give me some quotes. What did Biden? Hell, what did Hillary say?
They all said that there's not a chance in hell that Iran is going to get a nuclear weapon, and we will take we'll wipe them all out before they get a nuclear weapon. They all said it.
I have never heard Obama, Biden, or Hillary Clinton talking about wiping the entire nation of Iran from the map.
They didn't say it wasn't word for word, but they basically said the same thing.
I have not even heard them basically talk about wiping the whole nation of Iran off the map.
Well, they have. They did say it. I mean, it's all there. Everything that they made about what Trump says, they've said it already. Like they also talked about the border, how we have to close down the border, blah 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 blah. Everyone of them said it, but Trump's the only one who did it. Because everything that the Democrats say, it's always a lie. So they say it, but they don't really mean it because they're the ones in bed with all of these people. They were talking about no kings. The same people said this about Venezuela. Okay, if Trump does this, that's it. It's the end of his presidency. He's taking us into war, and he didn't take us into war.
If you actually had genuine quotes for Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Biden, I would be willing to entertain this. I'll tell you this. We had no problem criticizing Biden or better yet Obama for droning one American overseas or having a red line with Syria that they crossed and he didn't follow up on it. We've held him accountable for stuff significantly weaker than this. But you're telling me he threatened to wipe out all of Iran. I don't recall hearing the Republicans speak out against that. They had a problem with him wearing a tan suit. But he threatened to wipe out Iran and they didn't say nothing? I don't recall that.
Because he's not going to wipe out all the people. He's telling them, listen, this is the deal. You're going to get your act together or there's going to be hell to pay.
He said a whole civilization will cease to exist. I'm not hearing get your act together. I'm hearing you all about to die tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
That's what right. So look, they already came to an agreement. You do know that he already said that they got 2 weeks now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I knew that was going to happen. But everybody else is like, he's going to look at this. This is unacceptable because it's like he's playing with people. I don't understand.
So he's playing with people by joking about genocide. Is that what you're telling me?
Joking about genocide. He's doing it for different reasons because he's dealing with psychos in Iran. So he's speaking their language to them. Because that's the only language that they understand. You're listening to it, saying, "Oh my God, how can he say that?" But he's talking to them. He's not talking to you.
You do understand the entire world. He didn't call them on the phone. He posted this so the entire world saw. So he ain't just talking to them. The rest of the world is listening too.
No, but correct. But he's sending a message to them. And guess what? Why do you think they already came out and said we will agree to let everything go in the Strait of Hormuz, because they know that. Listen, we better do something. Trump means business.
Right.
What he's going to do.
He's going to commit genocide. So in other words, what you're saying.
But that's not what he did. The same thing with Kim Jong-un. Remember when he called him Rocket Man and my rocket's bigger than your rocket? It was the same exact thing. How many times you got to see?
I'll tell you what's different. This time he actually put a time on it. And by the way. This time is different from Kim Jong-un as well because we're already bombing the shit out of Iran. He's already bombed a bridge that had no business being bombed. He already suggested that they bombed their own school full of girls and didn't apologize. So this threat has more weight than anything that happened in the past, even what you mentioned in Obama, Hillary, and Biden, because we've already done it and killed a lot of innocent people already.
Well, I mean, listen, the people of Iran are literally cheering in the streets. They want Trump to take out this regime. Just like the people in Venezuela were cheering in the streets. The only people that are cheering for the dictators are the Democrats.
Ain't nobody cheering. So you think that they want informed?
Here in New York City, they had a vigil for Soleimani and all of these people.
You believe they wouldn't form the human chain around power plants because they were cheering for Trump to bomb it?
Wait, what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
When Trump started threatening to bomb their desalination plants where they get their fresh water and bomb their energy plants where they get electricity, Iranian citizens formed a human chain around those plants. They were ready for that bombing to happen tonight at 8 p.m. Central. You're telling me they formed that human chain because they were cheering Trump bombing it?
Well, if I understand the way it works with the mullahs and with the regime, these people will probably put gunpoint to go stand there if that was the case. They're not going there to do that themselves. These people, they've been so oppressed their whole lives, just like the people of Cuba. They can't wait for Trump to free them. Trump literally is freeing the world from all of this oppression, and the only people that are literally supporting the oppressors are the people that
Trump is literally deporting citizens from America back to oppressed countries. He ain't freeing the world. He's deporting Haitians back to Haiti, Somalians back to Somalia. He's not freeing the world. What are you talking about?
So, you know that Obama was the deporter in chief.
Listen, I know you want to talk about Obama, but his reign ended almost a decade ago.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because
we're not.
If that's something that really bothers you, then how come it didn't bother you when Obama was doing it? Like, that's the problem I have.
And I gave you the chance to explain to me when Obama threatened to commit an act of genocide. You came up short on that. I would have agreed with you. Give me an explanation of when Obama threatened to wipe an entire country off the map.
Well, he didn't say it in so many words, but he did say the same thing.
I have never heard him say that. I've never heard him even. Let me just say it this way: if Obama threatened to do that, I guarantee the Republican Congress would have done a hell of a lot more than they've done today.
No, the Congress let Obama do everything he wanted to
do.
The
Republican Congress did that.
They didn't do anything. He literally was the drone. He did more drone strikes than any president in the
They didn't even let Obama get an actually duly earned Supreme Court pick. How you gonna tell me they let him do everything he wanted to do? They didn't even let him get a Supreme Court pick that he legitimately had a right to get. And yet you're telling me, did you not hear the guy make it clear on the House floor? Our goal is to make you a one-term president. Yelling out, "You lie," in the middle of his speech.
And they failed at that. They failed, didn't they?
You just told me they let him do whatever he wanted to do.
No, not. Well, listen, they didn't let him do all that, but they let him go. All the drones that he sent off, they let him do all of that. All the deportations that he did, they let him do all of that.
I'm not hearing genocide. I mean, you're coming up with everything. You're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Obama, which has been gone for 10 years. I'm not hearing genocide.
You're taking one thing he said. All right, so but let's talk about actions. There was no genocide. He didn't do it. Trump speaks. He talks a lot. That's all part of his whole thing.
So what do you?
Just what he said. He also told Kim Jong-un he was going to blow him off the face of the earth, and he never did. They became friends. That's just the way Trump does things.
So what are you suggesting? When he threatens genocide, we should just sit back and just think he's joking and say nothing?
No, you don't have to suggest anything. But you just saw that it didn't happen.
What should when he threatens to take a civilization off the face of the earth? What should the American people do while he's making that threat?
They can do whatever they want to do, but you just saw.
Okay, that's what we're doing then. That's what we're doing now.
But now you saw that he didn't do it, and you're still carrying on about what he said that never happened.
No, he's threatening to do it. No, what he did is now he just postponed it to say, okay, we won't commit genocide today. We'll do it in 2 weeks.
Right, so you just saw what he did, and he gets people to bend their will. He's using the force of the United States military, saying this is what could happen to you if you don't get your act together. Basically, is what he's saying, and they're saying, okay, let give us a chance. We're going to get our acts together.
So if they don't get their act together, you believe genocide is a decent solution?
He's not going to do genocide, but he's going to take out a lot of the.
That ain't what he's not saying that. I hear what you're saying.
He's not going to tell you exactly what he's going to do.
He is telling us. He is telling us. You just ain't accepting it.
No, you see.
What does wipe out a civilization mean to you? Give me your opinion of that.
But you see, he's not telling you. He's saying things that have nothing to do with what he's actually going to do. Because
how do you know? How do you know?
Because I know, because that's what he's been doing. I gave you examples.
No, it's not. He told us he was going to take out Maduro. He did that. He said he was going to bomb drug boats. He did that. He said, no, wait, hold on. He has said he's going to do a hell of a lot of things before actually doing them, and he actually did them. How do you know when he's going to do something and when he's not? You're a Trump whisperer?
No, but that's the whole beauty of it. That's what makes him such a dangerous threat to the.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Oh, that's right. So if you're his enemy, don't you want to be unpredictable?
No.
Don't you want to be somebody who you don't understand? Do you want to be like Biden, like everybody knows what he's going to do? Do you want to be predictable as a drip from a faucet?
I agree with you that he shouldn't be predictable, but that doesn't mean genocide should be among the things you threaten.
Well, listen, when you're talking to people that just literally took out 30,000 of their own people, okay, who were protesting them, all right? This is the only language they know. He speaks to people in the language that they know. When you're talking to the the terrorists, I don't know what we're
I don't think we should. Hold on. I don't think we no longer have the right to call them terrorists. What we're doing by threatening genocide and bombing freshwater plants, that's terrorism. That's what they do when they go out and bomb ball games and schools and things that have nothing to do with the military. Once we start doing the same thing, bombing bridges and desalination plants, we no longer have a right to call them something that we too are operating in. We're doing that now.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we are. We've already bombed a bridge that had no military purpose to it whatsoever. We've already done that.
Listen, I mean, I just think that what Trump's doing is brilliant. I think the guy knows exactly. Yeah, he's freeing the world. He freed the people of Venezuela. All right, they're loving Trump over there. The people of Cuba are waiting for him to come there. It's been 67 years the Cuban people have been oppressed. The 47 years they've been oppressed in Iran. I mean, he's literally doing this for a reason, and there's multiple reasons behind it. It's not just one thing, but obviously oil has a lot to do with it. We're becoming energy independent.
Very much so. So let me ask you that.
He's choking the world out, and we're going to be the dominant energy source for the world. I mean,
so in other words, we're not doing this to help people. We're actually taking their resources.
No, we're doing. I said there's multiple. It's a multi-pronged. There's a lot of different things going, a lot of different agendas attached.
Someone is at the front door.
So how do we benefit? How is this America first? By going and, as you say, I suppose you believe he's helping Iranian citizens, helping Venezuelans. What is he doing for us?
All right. Do you remember back in 2009, I think it was, the Iranian people all came out. They were so happy that they finally had a president they thought was going to help them.
No.
And when they came, because the Iranian people are very westernized. I don't know if you know, I'm half Lebanese, so I know the Middle Eastern culture very well. The Iranian people were very westernized people, okay? Until 1979, when the Iranian Revolution came and they took it over, okay? So they literally enslaved the people of Iran. Now, what happened? In 2009, there was an uprising in Iran. The people came out, and what did Obama do? Instead of siding with the people, he literally sided with the mullahs and did this whole Arab.
I'm not aware. Listen, we can go. You brought up Obama a lot.
This is part of history.
I get that.
After that happened, I don't even know how many people got wiped out after that. So that's what Obama.
I don't see how we're okay. We're hearing that the Ayatollah wiped out thousands of their own people for protesting, and our response is to wipe out the Ayatollah and then threaten to wipe all the people out that were protesting along with them. I don't see how that's a solution. You're threatening a whole civilization, so that means the protesters, unless they're smart enough to have your mindset where you don't have to believe everything the guy says, he's threatening to wipe out the folks that he claims he's there to help. You think they also hear him and think he's only joking?
All right, now I'm going to tell you what he's really saying. When he said he's going to wipe out the civilization, he's talking about the radical Islamic part of it. The Iranian people have nothing to do with that. They are not part of what he's talking about wiping out.
And they all should know that. And they all should know that automatically, right?
They do know that. The people of Iran know that.
The people of Iran don't. The people of Iran may not even have gotten the message of what he's talking about. They may not even have access to the internet with us bombing them constantly.
Because Iran is a very fascist country. They don't let their people hear news and stuff like that. So they probably didn't hear it, what's going on. But the people of Iran understand that Trump is literally their last hope in the near future for them ever being free.
Their last hope. So Trump is. I got to ask you before. I thought he was about America first. Based on what you're saying, he's about Venezuela first, Iran second, and I guess Cubans third? When do we get to? He said America first. Tell me what he's done for Americans.
All right, so now how does this help America? So what?
First. No.
Yeah,
we're first.
So how does this help America first? With Venezuela, once he freed up the Venezuelans, and now we're literally have a big partnership with all of the oil. Venezuela.
So that means we're second. That means he freed them first, and now you're claiming some kind of part. So that's still America's second.
But they're free now to deal with America. So he's putting America. He's freeing the people of the world. So now we can start to have a relationship with all these people. Right now, there are no relationships.
So how does America? How does Americans benefit by having this sounds like Obama talking about we can have a relationship with Cubans. How do we benefit as citizens? How do American citizens benefit by having a relationship with Venezuela?
Because when people are free, and when freedom and free trade, it brings peace to the world. What do you think Trump's doing right now? He's getting rid of all of this stuff. Now I can go into it deep. I don't know what we could say.
So you believe having free trade will benefit with Venezuela will benefit Americans in what way? How will that bring down the price of anything for America?
Because we'll have our companies will be doing business with. We'll have who do you think is going to be doing a lot of the work with the oil with them? It's going to be Americans. We're going to be doing a lot of trade with them. Same thing with Iran. Once that Strait of Hormuz opens up, and if it doesn't really matter to Trump because we can supply the whole. We're going to be the ones supplying the world with the oil. It's us who's doing it now.
Here's where what you say has a conflict. If you're going to suggest you're helping out Americans by doing free trade with Venezuela, then I'm going to mention he has harmed trade more than any president in U.S. history with all the tariffs. What he has done has been anti-free trade. So I don't see how, you made it so that Venezuelans are free in your opinion, but you tariffed all of the people that we considered allies and were doing trade with before this whole melee. I don't see how we benefit.
But that's because they tariff us. It's never been free trade. Trump is using tariffs because they tariff us. If he would rather just do free trade, but if you're going to tariff us, the old mindset was, well, I believe in free trade. I'm a libertarian, and I used to hear libertarians say,
"You're a libertarian."
Yeah.
Did you vote for Trump last go round?
Of course.
Did you vote for Trump?
I voted for Ross Perot.
Did you vote for Trump all 3 times?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
You think Do you think Trump is doing a good job right now?
I think he's doing a brilliant job right
now. Brilliant job.
I think that the more you hear the media freak out, the better it is for America. But the liberal media is literally the greatest threat to this whole to humanity.
So you think it's a good thing to make the media freak out?
Well, yeah, because they just lie about everything. They're lying. They're trying to get control of these fake narratives that don't exist anymore. People are seeing through it. But I think that what's happening is, even though that you're talking about America first, what's happening is the globalists, this whole globalism took America into the whole global stage. We want to be sovereign. Trump wants countries to be sovereign. So he wants France to be for France. He wants Indonesian to be for Indonesia. He wants every country's leaders to be for their country.
So when he threatened to take Greenland, does he want Greenland to be for Greenlanders?
No, he wants. See, that's all part of America first. Greenland is a strategic. That's strategic.
Okay, so he don't. So he doesn't. So he does not want every country to be for itself. He's threatening to take one of them.
No, he does, but why not? If they could be part of America, even better. Better yet, look at what he did with Panama. He took the Panama Canal. All of this stuff was against America. He's literally doing everything he's doing is to benefit us. I mean, it's. I don't understand. Do you think that there's globalism? Do you think that a lot of people in America are literally they're for the globalist society as opposed to America?
Stevie D, thank you for an alter ego, brother. No, I think some of the stuff you're saying is crazy, man. I think here. Let me just say it this way: if I could see lower gas prices, lower inflation, great job numbers, I would be able to at least entertain what you're saying is that Trump is doing things that is for Americans. But since Trump has taken office, most of the metrics for Americans are taking a negative turn. So at best, if what you're saying is true, at best, it's in the future. None of that stuff is happening right now. Right now, Americans are struggling.
That's a fair point. And I'm gonna say this. If after Trump's 4 years, this is what we're in. It's nothing changes, and this is what it was. I will be the first to say, you know what, he failed. But I don't see that.
I'm going to tell you, I got to move on. But by the way, keep in mind, if he loses in the midterms, the last 2 years, he's not going to be able to accomplish anything. But
then it's a failure. Then I'm with you. He failed. But
I think I'm gonna have a hard time getting you to admit it's a failure. I think you're gonna find somebody else to blame.
Will you admit that it was a success? If in the next couple of months things turn around and gas prices do get lower and things start getting better, will you admit?
I'll certainly give him if those things happen under his presidency, I'll give him credit like I did under his first administration. Yes, yeah, I will.
And I know you will.
All right, Toots, you didn't make it easy. I do got to move it on. You're always welcome back, Toots. It doesn't matter that we don't agree on shit, which we clearly do not, but you're always welcome back, man. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate it. Man. Anytime. That is too sweet. That was not an easy phone call, I tell you, because I was already upset about this shit before I had any guest on. So to have a guest adamantly defending it, he didn't make it easy on me, but I enjoy the back and forth. By the way, tap the screen, get the likes up to 40,000, and give me a moment to thank you. Whoever put that up there, alter ego with the Sith peak. Thank you very much. Tap the screen, get the likes up to 40,000. We'll take the next caller momentarily. Handsome Conservative says, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, stand up and welcome the Handsome Liberal. I don't need you to stand up today, but I appreciate the sentiment. Bad day, in my opinion. Now, Trump did roll back this whole, what was it? A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back. And what he said, don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Now, you heard my last guess. He had this whole different interpretation. Look, if somebody says a whole civilization is going to die tonight, to me, there's no way to take that out of context. That's pretty straightforward. Maya's, what is it? The underworld of Atlantis. It sounds like something like that. You know, a whole dinosaurs or some shit. It sounds like a whole civilization is going to die tonight. To me, it's about as clear as you can get. My last guest believes that Trump was just saying shit that he wasn't going. And there's a lot of people, by the way. There's a lot of people that didn't believe what Trump was saying was going to happen. But there's a lot of people that did. There's a lot of people that did. And I'm not just talking about in Iran or even in America. You look at the message boards, Starmer or some of your other world leaders, look at some of the comments that are in their statements. The world believed that. So even if what Trump does turns out to be a benefit in some way, fashion, or form, it has hurt the image of the United States for some time, because most of the world was not on par with committing an act of genocide against the nation of Iran. Most of our allies did not see that as something that was justified. And they don't look at Trump like, yeah, you should just know he's joking, like my last guest was saying. But anyway, moving on with the show, tap the screen, get us up to 40,000. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone on this program. If you happen to be watching us on Instagram, TikTok, or Substack, follow the program. We're here most weekdays. If you're currently watching us on YouTube, give your guy a sub. And of course, help your guy with the hat and mustache goals. We'll go over to one of my long-term subscribers, Dencal. Good evening, Dencal, if it brings them up over on Instagram. Dencal, good evening.
Good evening, good evening.
Man, did you hear my last caller?
Hey, it's rough.
Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe Trump has some kind of golden plan for our great nation. What say you?
Man, I don't know what to say, man. This is getting to the edge of insanity that we having these discussions. And you just listen to that dude sit up there and say all of this shit is fucking brilliant. Literally use the word brilliant and could not explain anything he's doing. Literally saying that he didn't do anything he said he was going to do, so that makes it brilliant.
I wish I had a way to play devil's advocate on it. I don't. To me, this is fucked up from every way to sundown.
You had the nerve to end it talking about something. Well, if he fails, then I'll admit it. No, you won't. No, you will not admit he done anything wrong.
Yeah, and that's my sentiment too. If he fails at what he's doing, it'll be either a member of his administration or some activist judge or some liberal judge. It'll be, it's going to be blamed on somebody else. I was telling him that. I was like, I don't think you're going to admit it. I think you're just saying that.
He had the nerve to compare like Obama and Hillary and Biden and Kamala. They all did the same thing. But they didn't say it quite the same way. Like, what are you talking about? Did they do the same thing or not?
I just said I don't even know where to go with this because
he compared Obama and drones
to genocide.
When Obama used the AUL. He literally used authorization by Congress to commit those drones. They're comparing it to right now. It's insane.
Yeah, I gave him a slight bit of the benefit of the doubt by asking him, if you're saying that Obama or Biden or Hillary Clinton threatened genocide, give me a quote. And he had nothing. I mean, then he started going to drones and all, which Obama droned an American citizen that left this country, went to fight for ISIS on behalf of ISIS. And, he's an enemy on foreign territory. He's on a battlefield. He killed one guy. Now, Obama was droning people, but genocide?
But what he did was he took on the responsibility. But us that were serving at the time, we know he was the one who brought back over 250,000 troops from the Middle East. They're missing that part. He said, I'm gonna take that responsibility off the troops, and he's gonna use the drone program. He's gonna use technology to try to get the same goal accomplished. Yeah. Trump is now sending those same people back to the Middle East, threatening the whole civilization and talking about praise be to Allah. He's even using, that's so crazy, man.
Yeah, Trump recently came out as a practicing Catholic, so while he's on social media talking about all praises due to Allah, it's like, now I will give my last guest credit in one area, which I don't agree with much of anything he said, but I do believe President Trump is probably one of the best among us at using words to trigger people. He's really good at that. He really is good at that. However, hold on.
That's not a quality we think our president should have. He's a good troll.
Yeah. I agree that the president should not be specializing in trolling, but I will say Trump is probably the best at doing it. What I don't understand, though, is that MAGA will admit that Trump is really good at trolling and triggering folks, then act outraged or shocked that people are triggered or upset. Like, isn't that it? Like I always say, Trump derangement syndrome. Anytime, and this is what I'm saying to my beloved MAGA who may be watching right now, anytime you hear somebody has TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, you should stand up and applaud. You should cheer that on, because you're cheering on making liberal tears and you're cheering on making the Democrats cry. What do you think is the output of that? It's the TDS you're complaining about. He's literally trying to create that. So you should view it as a success when you see TDS. You should, he's getting the hatred he is earning. He's saying negative things about people, they're going to have a negative reaction to it. So you should cheer on TDS. Go ahead.
And then they make up stuff about what actually happened. They talk about, see, they got them to negotiate. No, they didn't. Iran said the whole time, we are not negotiating with you. Pakistan went to America and said, hey, you know, we want to put a 2-week pause on the whole situation. And guess what Iran just came out and said? We won the war. We won.
I will say this.
American president backed down from the great Iran.
I will say this. For all the people saying taco, the acronyms being Trump always chickens out or whatever, I will say this. It's pretty clear the Iranians were not going to chicken out. They were willing to die tonight. They were willing to die.
What he did, talking about that praise be to Allah, he is trolling a whole religion where there are billions of Muslims around the world. And for him to say he's going to send them back, that's all of them. It's not just Iranian Muslims.
I don't get why, and I mentioned this the other day, I don't get why Muslim countries don't team up like European countries. African countries don't do it either. So I'm going to suggest that people in the Middle East are just as absent-minded, in my opinion, as the Negroes in Africa. Like, you notice they got they had the Warsaw Pact, they have NATO, they team up. Like, how many countries does America have to pick off in the Middle East before the other remaining countries realize, you could be next? I mean, in the last 20 years, Afghanistan, Iraq, now we don't picked off Iran. I mean, how many countries, you going to just keep letting America come back and pick off country after country? When are you guys going to team up and create some kind of coalition? Because we will be back.
And when we said the same thing about what Russia was doing, trying to recreate the old, their old, Russian,
the Warsaw Pact, yeah.
Right. We're doing even worse than them. Like, we don't even, he's talking about the people in Venezuela is good now. We literally went there and kidnapped their leader and stole all their fucking oil. And he's talking about now we freed them. Freed them for what?
Yeah. Well,
now.
The belief is that Maduro was mistreating his own people. So by taking Maduro out, somehow the citizens of Venezuela are now. I don't know. Maybe Trump did do something beneficial to the citizens of Venezuela. But first thing I'm going to point out is he promised to be America first. He put the Venezuelans over the Americans, because if the Venezuelan people are doing so great like he's suggesting, then the people in America are not bragging about how great they're doing right now. So you actually was Venezuela first. Now, that's not to say that Americans may not end up doing well before he leaves office, but as of right now, he clearly put the Venezuelans first.
Didn't we see the oil companies sitting in the Oval fucking office talking about Venezuela is uninvestable? Like, we don't want to fuck with them. We've been kicked out of that country a couple of times. And guess what? When the next American president comes in and they're not anti-Venezuela, or they like, then what's going to happen? Venezuela going to kick those companies back out, because those companies are not Americans.
Yeah.
Those are international companies.
What about this one? Because
when Shell or damn Citgo or anybody goes into those countries and produce millions of dollars worth of profits, you, or any other American citizens, we never see a dime of that fucking money.
But what about this? Because you mentioned the people of Venezuela, Betty out of Iran. In the comments, Cedric Haney says, haha, this guy is a lie, referring to you. He says on Iranian news, it says they agreed to Trump's ceasefire. So he's saying that because you're saying that Iran is saying that the American president backed down, meaning they didn't agree to shit and Trump just backed down. He's saying Iran is saying on the news that they did agree to Trump's.
Just answer what's the source.
He says, well, he's saying on the news, which could be anything.
Exactly. Exactly. And I would like to know where he's getting his source from, because the Iranian government just came out and told all of their fucking people that they were victorious over America, threatening to eliminate their whole civilization. So I don't know where it says anything. They said they matter of fact, Iran said they haven't negotiated with America at all.
Yeah. I don't get why I don't get why the Iranians would ever negotiate with the Trump administration on at this point. If they truly go ahead.
They got bumped both times they tried to negotiate.
Right.
I mean, in the middle of the negotiation, they said, okay, we'll meet back up tomorrow. The U.S. delegation jumped on the fucking plane, and everybody who was negotiating got killed 2 times.
Yeah. I don't get why
anybody sit down and negotiate.
Yeah. After Trump got out of the Obama deal, not only would I say I don't understand why they would negotiate any type of treaty or agreement with the United States. Why would you, or Trump, I don't see why they would negotiate a deal with America as a whole. I don't care what president is in there. Once Trump broke the Iran deal that Obama made, that showed that any president in the future, and I've mentioned this many times, some of you folks have heard me say this, but once Trump broke the deal they made with Obama, that showed that any deal you make with the United States is only as good as the president that's in power. So if they make a deal with Trump is showing them the next president may just come along and say it's a dumb deal and get out of it. So why would you make a deal with America at this point?
And I hate to say it as a veteran, but like, we are not genuine in our negotiations. And it's not like I love the Iranians or I care about like that, but it's just like, right is right. If you're going to have a negotiations, you can't get everybody involved in a room, walk out of the room, and then have the room blown up. Like, you can't, who else is,
yeah.
If people don't know that France, just today, France pulled all of their gold out of our the Federal Reserve.
And that's what I was trying to tell my last caller, is that even if Trump is joking about committing genocide or whatever he was trying to use to defend Trump, I'm like, our allies are taking that shit serious. Our allies do not back being a part of genocide. So
Spain said you cannot use your U.S. bases in our country to attack them. They're getting together, man. And this BRIC shit is about to get real, because right now, all of those countries need to go to Iran to be able to get their oil out of the Straits of Hormuz. So they're paying these people upwards of $2 million a ship. So you can do simple math and say they said about 180 ships normally pass through the Straits of Hormuz.
Right.
If you start charging them, I'm just going to say $1 million, not two, each ship $1 million per day.
But that's not gonna. But Trump is promising that's not gonna happen. They have to open up the strait.
Happening. It's not that he promises it; it's already happening. They're doing it right now. French ships are now getting clear passage as long as they pay the toll. So if they do that to everybody, they're making up upwards of $150 to $180 million a day.
They're going to get bombed again.
They're making them more richer than they've ever been. All of that. Remember, they was talking about.
But you know what that sounds like.
30 million on pallets and all. They don't understand how rich they would be able to rebuild their.
That ain't gonna happen, Cal. If Iran continues charging those excessive tolls for ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, to me, that's akin to moving on somebody else's territory and selling a whole lot of product. They gonna kill y'all ass. I mean, it's just they not gonna let them keep doing that. America in particular. I mean, I'm assuming some of the other nations may follow America, but if Iran is charging $1 million or two, right now I think it's $2 million. But if Iran is charging this huge toll, it ain't gonna be long before America leading the charge, because we got the military and we seem to love to kill people first. America leading the charge is going to get a few other nations to say we got to get rid of these mother. That toll ain't gonna last.
But you have to understand that the rest of the countries are going by international law. Their excuse for doing what they're doing is saying, why does Israel? Why does Egypt get to charge people going through the Suez Canal? Why does Panama get to charge people going through the Panama Canal? They doing the same goddamn thing.
Well, the Panama Canal was constructed. It cost money to build that, so I can get why they're charging money. That wasn't a natural formation. The Strait of Hormuz the Strait of Hormuz is not owned by Iran. There are other nations on the other side. Why don't they get a cut? Why are you the only nation getting the money?
I got the perfect analogy for you. If one of your neighbors comes into your backyard and builds a goddamn plants their own farm back there and starts selling the goddamn fruit, do you get a cut?
Yes. In my backyard, yes.
Right, so it's in their backyard. That's their backyard. They're saying the same shit like Egypt and all of these other countries. They get a cut of the shit that passes through there.
So you're saying that the other nations on the southern side of the Strait of Hormuz, they get a cut?
The same, yeah, and that's Oman.
Yeah,
I'm sure Oman would not turn down.
Right.
I guarantee you, they would not turn it down.
Well,
the same way as the Suez Canal, it's not just Egypt that gets all of the money.
That ain't gonna last. Then, Cal, I don't think that's gonna last. I mean, because those nations.
I'm just telling you what they're going to present to the international courts is they're going to say there's no. America forced this on everybody. It was a free.
I agree with that.
Before they did that shit, and now we trying to say what we helping them or whatever. They about to be. You thought they was the biggest state sponsor of terror. When did they start collecting about $150 million a day?
All I'm hearing when you say this shit is another future war with America leading the charge again. If they start fucking with money like that, fucking with oil. Because if they're charging tariffs on ships going through, the owners of those oil refineries or whatever, they're going to tack that on in terms of how much you're paying per gallon or per liter in whatever country. And it's not going to be long before people are threatening them.
The reason I disagree with you now is because they're doing it right now.
And they're doing it, but what is happening while they're doing it? They're getting bombed and threatened. There will never be a time. Hold on. There will never be what I'm saying is there will never be a time when Iran is charging tolls for ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz without them also being bombed and threatened. They can do it, but they're going to always be threatened.
I think the international community will come together and understand that Iran will never relent. As long as they can set out a couple of dang on mines in that water, they will always have the ability to stop every insurance company and every major carrier of LNG and oil from going through there. You got to negotiate with them. You got to. And even if they say, well, we'll give a part of this money to the UN or whatever, they will, for now and for throughout history, they will now have a fee toll. I guarantee you. We forced that on the whole world by doing what we did. That's why every other president in the United States has never did it, because we knew what they would do.
Wow. I hope I was going to say I hope you're right. I don't know if I hope you're right. I don't know if I hope you're wrong, because I do believe if they're charging that kind of money, making that kind of a profit with the Strait of Hormuz, it's not going to be long before some other leader on earth, probably coming from America, decides we want to cut of this shit too. You know, like the mob show up.
Why don't we do that with the Suez Canal then?
We might actually be, I'm going to tell you, you never know. We might actually be getting a cut through the back door. You never know. We might be getting a cut.
I was in the Navy. I've been through the Suez Canal about 15 and 20 times. We ain't getting shit. We pay for every time we transit.
Yeah, but there's no way to know if there is not some other kind of quid pro quo going in the background. We may be paying a toll, but they may be giving us a discount, or there may be something else going on in the background.
Well, I mean, if you're saying it's true, why are you saying that now that Egypt, that Iran is not going to be able to do the same thing?
I'm just simply saying because we don't like Iran. I hope, like I said, I don't know if I hope you're right. I don't know if I hope you're wrong. But if they charging $2 million per ship, America may say, here's what America may say. I don't give a fuck about who else you charging. But if our ships get charged $2 million going through, you're going to have a problem out of us. That may happen.
We tried to do the same thing with the Panama Canal. We tried to do the same thing with the Suez Canal. That's not how the international community works. I get it. America is the superpower. We bully our way through everything, but there's certain things we just cannot control unless we got boots on the ground and we control shit ourselves. We can't do that halfway across the world.
Cal, this is the era of Trump. Don't ever underestimate Trump. I give you the last word. I got to move on. But under Trump, all this international community and laws and all this other shit, we're talking Trump. Different guy. This is a different day and age now. Last word to you.
I would say the same, like you said before. Trump ain't gonna be around forever.
True.
Other presidents are gonna follow international rules, the international criminal courts. They're not gonna do what Trump. They're not gonna do what Trump does. They're not gonna threaten like their international neighbors. They're gonna come back into some type of conformity eventually.
I hope you're right there, but I will say this. Trump has literally laid the path for other leaders of this nation to know you can get away with a lot more shit than past presidents have gotten away with. So I think at the very least, he has increased the likelihood of somebody else trying shit in the future because he has shown the pathway that it can be done. I gotta go. Didn't Cal? Thanks for coming through.
All right. Take care.
All right, you too. All right, moving on with the program. Tap the screen. Get the boy with the hat, mustache, TikTok cap goes, damn it. Support the program. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to smash that like button. Help out the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. Cedric Haney. Yeah! Appreciate the hat and mustache. Nick, thank you very much. But we are talking about literally threatening to wipe out a civilization. We were down there like 90 minutes. Thank you, C. Osby. Some of you guys showing some support. Appreciate the love. We were literally about 90 minutes from reaching that point. I mean, it is now 4 minutes from that deadline that was set. But as you know, Trump has postponed it for 2 weeks. So I get it. Mike the Sailor, thank you very much for the TikTok cap. So I guess in 14 days we'll be here again. We'll be internationally, by the way. So I'll probably end up doing some lives from where I'm at, but I'm not going to be in America at the expiration of that deadline. And I'm kind of concerned about that. If something's going to break out, I would rather be in the nation. I'll discuss it later on. You'll hear about it, but I'm not going to go into it too much in detail now, but I will be out of the country when this happens. Looking in the comments, though, look at the stock market's reaction. Boy, I tell you, somebody making a killing on the stock market. All you need is for him to announce to maybe a few close friends, don't worry about it. I'm going to wait till about 7 o'clock and then I'm going to call it off. Make sure you're ready to do what you got to do. I mean, people are making money based on what he is doing. People are making money based on Trump making these wild swings, these threats, and then pulling back the tariffs, imposing tariffs at a whim and then withdrawing them. I'll just tell you this. We're probably going to end up having insider trading court cases for years to come. Because Trump has made so many wild swings on threats and promises that have really affected the stock market. And people have made bets and investments on them and made a killing. People who have made a lot of money on that are probably going to be called in and asked, subpoenaed and having to testify under oath. Was this just a guess? Did you just guess out of nowhere and decide to bet $200 million on this guess? It's going to be shit like that. And I see in the comments, Buckeye says Bitcoin. Well, Trump has his own crypto and all of that. I don't know. The Democrats are going to have their work cut out for them because that's what it's going to take as a Democratic administration to do all sorts of audits every way to sundown and find out where all the money went. Like Barron Trump getting that huge contract, defense contract, mere days after the company was open. He gets this huge multi-million-dollar defense contract. How does that happen? I mean, we heard about Hunter Biden and Burisma, but for some reason now it's all of a sudden we're hearing nothing about this stuff. So you will hear it. The Democrats, each congressman can take one area of the Trump administration and go hire a team of lawyers. You go through this. I want you to deal with that. I want you to deal with what he did in Fulton County, his ballot office. I want you to go. I mean, there's going to be areas all over the place because Trump has pushed the envelope in so many different ways. Before we continue on, make sure I didn't miss out any super chats. Take Trumperists don't take Trump seriously. So you got to take him seriously. He's the leader of the free world. Let me go back to the box. Ceasefire agreed. Trump wins again. What did he win? He didn't win shit. The Strait of Hormuz, as you just heard my last guest suggest, is still under Iranian control. What did Trump win? He blew up a lot of shit in Iran. That's about it. They're controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Gas is one up, at least in this country, at nearly $1.50 a gallon for unleaded, nearly $1.50 increase. What did we win? Most Americans did not feel like Iran was a major threat to the point where we're willing to pay an extra $1 to $1.50 a gallon for you to go deal with that. Most Americans didn't feel that way. So tell me where the victory is for the average American, not to mention the billions of dollars we spent doing this. Billions of dollars have been spent. So much money has been spent dealing with this Iranian conflict that they're going to be cutting programs for the poor. They're talking about cutting healthcare and shit like that. I mean, we're paying for this. Tell me where the victory is in this. We'll go straight to Dave in the box. I'm crying gas in San Diego. Is it really $7 a gallon in San Diego? Azella Ferrer? Is it really that high? I tried to bring up a guest. I don't know what happened. He says, is gas $7 a gallon? Jesus Christ. Now, that is partially due to the tax structure in California, but $7 a gallon. Oh, my word. Let me go back to the box. So try it again with MAGA Reacts. $7 a gallon. MAGA, good evening.
First of all, the Suez Canal was built by Egypt. We didn't just it's not open water. We built it from scratch. It was desert that we owned, and we put a canal through it. Same with Panama. Panama was built by us in America, but
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not that people are going through our backyard. Is we literally built them a canal because to go through under Africa, not only do you have to deal with pirates, but that water is really really high currents. It's really rough water. You need to have some badass ships to go through that.
Yeah, but see, and that's the difference. The Suez Canal, according to you, was built. We know the Panama Canal was built. So, in my opinion, they deserve the right to charge tolls. But the Strait of Hormuz was not built by the Iranians. But I'm going to tell you something, though. Like he mentioned, suggesting that the Strait of Hormuz is in the Iranians' backyard. And by the way, I'm looking on News Nation while we're talking. Hold on. I'm looking at News Nation while we're talking. They have breaking news: sirens in Tel Aviv after ceasefire agreement. So apparently, Tel Aviv, Israel, is under fire. Now it could be Hezbollah or what is it? Yeah, Hezbollah. Is it Hezbollah to the north? But anyway,
well, it was called a double-sided ceasefire. So maybe just U.S. and America. That means Iran and Israel can still keep shooting each other. I always wondered why he kept saying double-sided ceasefire.
Well,
is that what that could mean? That
well, because the thing. Here's the thing I'm going to say right now in the age of Trump, and I know some of my MAGA viewers are not going to like me when I say this, but Trump has said so many things that have turned out not to be true, and now this whole we're going to end a civilization. You don't know what to believe coming from. So when they say it's a double-sided ceasefire. Who did that information come from? Because Trump is bragging about it on social media. And he said so many things that has not come true. I don't know what to believe anymore.
Well, this came from Pakistan. He even names the people in Pakistan it came from. And it says the Strait of Hormuz should be open for the next 2 weeks at least. So we'll find out tomorrow if ships start going through or not.
All you need is one bad event to happen, and Trump will say they broke the agreement, the ceasefire is off. You see what happened with the Obama deal. So in my opinion, I don't feel confident.
Well, that's the other bullshit you keep saying. If a deal is good, both sides should want to keep it. If a deal, if they make a good deal with America that America's happy with, they're not going to have to worry about the next president breaking it if it's a good deal for America and a good deal for them.
That's not
But
true.
if the deal sucks for one side, then yeah, if the deal sucks for one of the two people, then of course someone's going to come along and break it eventually.
But let's take into consideration what you said. If a deal sucks for one side, somebody's going to come along to break it. Keep in mind, suggesting that a deal sucks for one side is an opinion by the viewer. Trump viewed the Obama deal as stupid. A large portion of our allies had a difference of opinion. He came along, to him, it's a one-sided deal. It was not a one-sided deal to America before him. So the next president may look at any deal Trump makes as a stupid deal where Trump might think it's a beneficial deal to America. That's up to the viewer's opinion.
Sometimes it's more than opinion. Sometimes a deal, is so important that you just can't break it because it'll fuck up your economy or fuck up something.
Well, whatever
like
deal.
I said, with that deal specifically, it stopped them. It delayed them from having nuclear whatever, but it did nothing for them funding terrorism. So
Well,
they weren't supposedly they weren't trying to build nukes anyway, but they were funding terrorism all over the place.
I don't think this is going to stop that, MAGA. I don't think you're going to stop Iran from funding terrorism. That's what I told Denkow. I'm like,
I don't think they're going to have money to fund anything after this.
a country with all that oil, what do you think they're going to be broke?
They're going to for at least the next couple of years, they're going to be rebuilding their infrastructure.
You got to be kidding me. If they're literally
missiles instead of
Did you not hear him say? Did you not hear him make it clear that they're charging $2 million tolls to every ship that goes through the strait right now? They're taking in millions.
That's a wartime exception. They could get away with that in wartime, but that's not going to be part of the deal. I really doubt a toll is going to be part of the deal. Plus, you got 3 other countries there. You got the UAE, you got the Saudis, and you got Oman that will start doing the same shit then.
I don't see Iran being concerned with getting bombed. I mean, because if they, like you said, if it's not going to be part of the deal, then that means you will threaten that if they continue charging the toll, you're going to start a war back with them. They've made it clear that that is not a concern to them. You're not going to bomb them into submission. They've made that clear.
Listen, it's going to eventually be a concern, especially when it comes to their pocketbook, when it comes to the well-being of their people, of their country. I mean, come on, Tim. If you blow up all the restaurants and all the bridges and all the houses, eventually they're going to be concerned. Eventually,
I'll tell it to you like this. The people in Gaza, you can't get bombed any more than what happened in Gaza. They haven't came around and are cooperating with Israel. They still are taking pot shots when they can. I mean, you're not going to bomb a movement into submission. I mean, even if you made Iran look like Gaza, they still gonna hate the Americans and the Israelis. You're not gonna bomb your way out of that.
Yeah, but Iran is not Gaza. Iran is a huge country that hasn't been bombed to shit. Not yet, at least. You know what I mean? Like, Gaza was shit to start off with, and it became shit. It went from shit to hell, and now it's trying to get back to shit. Hopefully, it gets livable soon, but Iran was not shit. It was okay. It was a fucking big country.
I've seen video on YouTube of what Gaza looked like before Israel started. It looked all right too. It didn't look that bad. Thank you, Mike the Sailor. Appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you very much. I mean, look, at the end of the day.
Let me put it in other words. Iran is a huge country with lots of cities and lots of things and lots of people living and enjoying those things.
Okay.
So
was Japan. We bombed them.
A lot more for them to lose.
I just think
they got something to lose, is what I'm trying to say.
I just think
they got something to lose that Gaza doesn't.
No, I think what it is we're using American mentality on countries that do not think the way we do. These folks believe that they're going to a better place if they die defending their homeland. They literally formed a human chain around places we were threatening to bomb tonight. So does that sound like you're going?
Hypocrites as we are.
What? No.
I mean, did you see the daughter of Solomon and the granddaughter of Solomon that they just arrested and are deporting from America?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, look how hot and how they're Instagram influencers and they're just as big of hypocrites as we are. Those aren't.
Well, the point I'm making though,
and all that.
yeah, but the point I'm making is that has nothing to do with what I just said though. We threatened to bomb. Hold on, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me because what you're saying doesn't match what I'm saying. I said we threatened to bomb energy and power plants, and the people went to the power plant and formed a human chain around it. They were willing to die. They're not the daughter and stuff you're talking about. They were willing to die on behalf of this place. They're not hypocrites.
First of all, the leaders, we don't know who those people are. They could be like the Alaska guy said. They could have done it under gunpoint. They could do it under whatever condition. But I know the people in charge are fucking getting rich off the oil, enjoying their money overseas, and all that shit. The people who are actually going to make the decision are the biggest hypocrites. They always are.
Oh, and I see in the comments someone asked, JC had said, would you submit in their shoes with any human? Yeah, I don't. Look, as far as I'm concerned, we're offering them nothing. We're just basically telling them, do what we say, we're going to kill you. I don't see where the Iranians have any reason to negotiate with Trump. We're offering them nothing. We're not offering them
to live.
Huh?
They get to live and they have a future where they can still make money off oil. We haven't blown up their oil fields yet.
I'm telling you that I don't believe this is going to work. I really believe either Trump is going to completely back down on his threats or they're going to get bombed again. I don't believe that the Iranians are going to submit receiving nothing in the process. We'll let you live. That's it.
No, they'll receive something.
Like what?
They'll receive. I think the oil sanctions, I think those are going to stay down. I think Trump really wants to lower the price of oil. He just wants to get Iran in line. And then once oil's cheap, that's going to fuck up Russia. And that should help us with Ukraine.
Well, King Fit in the comments says, hey, you need to go back to Egypt and speak for them because you don't speak for America. I think he's disagreeing with you slightly.
I don't know how I'm speaking for Egypt. I'm just, what did I say? I'm just telling you a situation from my point of view. I don't know what the fuck being in Egypt or America has to do with it.
Do you favor Trump as of right now? It's a threat because he didn't carry it.
Look, by nature, I'm not a gambler, and this was a huge gamble, and I think it's going to pay off. But I'm not a gambler, so I'm against this.
So you're against.
I'm against gambling, and this was a huge gamble.
You're against Trump threatening genocide.
Yeah, of course, but that was a bluff, and it looks like it paid off.
How?
It looked like the other side blinks. I know you guys think it's all bullshit. We'll find out in the next 2 weeks if they blinked or they didn't blink.
I don't see in what way, shape, or form is the Strait of Hormuz open without Iran interfering. Paid off. What did we get out of it?
The Strait of Hormuz is open. That's what are the things he said. There's a 2-week ceasefire where the strait is open. So tomorrow there should be ships flowing through it.
I don't see. So it's open for 2 weeks. I don't see how that's a huge victory. It's not permanent. It's just 2 weeks. It might be a path to victory, but it's not a victory.
It gives them time to negotiate. It gives them time to see how they feel not being bombed for 2 weeks. Maybe they like not being bombed. I don't know. You keep saying that they love being bombed.
Maybe they like getting some peacetime so that they can develop and make more drones. How you know they're not restocking?
How do you know we're not restocking?
Well, we are restocking. Trump just asked for Trump just asked for $1 trillion. It's obvious we're restocking. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and then for them, we kind of blew up the factory, so it's a little harder for them to restock, especially if they have to do it in caves.
Them little fucking drones, they can make those things in somebody's basement. They can make millions of those things.
Drones aren't really the big problem.
Bullshit. Them drones are a big problem.
Drones are good against bases that are nearby, but they're not really the major problem. The major
MAGA,
problem are boats.
MAGA, there's a lot of shit nearby. You said them drones are only good for stuff that there's a lot of good shit to bomb. All of the infrastructure of all of our countries that we care about that's aiding in the bombing of Iran, all of that stuff's nearby. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, all of that stuff, they have stuff nearby.
I think the Warhogs and the Apaches we have in the area are getting rid of the drones, no problem. I think the big problem right now are still the missiles and the boats. They're worried more about boats, like yeah. A boat with a rocket launcher could really fuck up a fucking ship. I think that's the leftover piece that they have to solve.
Here's what I want to ask you, because you said right now it's looking like a win. We ended up paying.
I didn't go that far. I mean, I think the bluff was a win, that part of it, but I don't know. I'm still holding my breath, waiting to see the results.
Okay, because America has spent the last month and a half paying a whole lot of money out of our own pockets for this. Not to mention all of the military ordinance that we've used. We got to replace all of that by way of tax dollars. Do you think this has been worth it?
I mean, if it brings down oil prices permanently, yeah, because from oil, we get everything. We get gas, we get diesel, we get plastic, we get everything. Like our whole economy, everything is based off oil.
How low would
make everything cheap?
How low would the price of gas have to be for you to feel like this is worth it? We know right now it's averaging about $4.15 a gallon or something like that in the country. Where would it have to go for you to feel like this was worth it?
I don't know, I don't know. I have an electric car, to be honest with you. So maybe I really don't know an exact number. Maybe $2-3. I have no idea.
I mean, but that's right where it was there already before this started.
Yeah, but now we don't have to worry about Iran we don't have to worry about Iran causing trouble. If we don't have to worry about them getting a nuke. We don't have to worry about a lot of things that we used to have to worry about.
I can tell you.
Maybe it'll go less than 2. Maybe it'll go to $1 something. I really don't know. The problem is, like, with inflation, it's a tricky subject.
We haven't even removed the enriched uranium from their country. What do you mean we have to worry about them getting a nuke? The material's still there.
I'm sure that's going to be part of the deal. I'm sure that's going to be a huge part of the deal that they give that shit up.
Okay. I don't think that the Iranians being told, do everything we say and we'll let you live. I don't think that's going to work. You do, obviously. I think that we're going to.
I think they'll get more. They'll get relieved from sanctions, so they'll be able to sell their oil. And I mean, I'm hoping. I don't know. I don't know what I'm hoping for. I'm waiting and seeing. I don't like to predict the future.
Fair enough. Well, I'll leave it at that then. MAGA, thanks for coming through. Hopefully you're right about some of this. Hopefully it is a win for us. But
I mean, look, it's 8 p.m. and they're not all dead. You said it was going to be a genocide. So
no, he said. I didn't say shit. He said it was going to be a genocide. He said it.
Like he was. I mean, look, that's the whole thing about Trump. When he got to the point where you thought he was bluffing every time, he did some shit where you have to actually worry if he's bluffing or not, because he followed through with some shit. So you can't just take it as always a bluff like we did like a year ago.
I'm not.
I mean, at a point we thought everything he was saying was a bluff. So he had to follow through on some shit so people don't think he's bluffing. So now when he does it, they actually have to take him seriously. So it works a little better when they don't.
I don't know how well it's working until we see how much damage he's doing to relationships around the world because of this stuff. Because there's a lot of folks that are now going to be punished for being allies with America. All of the countries that allow America to use their sovereign land to bomb Iran, they all make legitimate targets of Iran too now. So maybe the United States doesn't get hit, but some other country now in the future may end up being at a soccer game or something and a whole bunch of people are shot up because all of them are involved in it now.
Well, that's why we have to make a deal that's good enough where both sides are happy and we're both in peace. It has to be a good deal for both sides, including Iran.
You're not going to kill off let's say, for instance, you take out Trump, you take out JD and Hegseth in a large amount of the Senate. No deal you make with the United States is ever going to be good enough for us. There's going to be Americans jonesing for you going forward. We took out the entire head of that country. There's always going to be Iranians, no matter what deal we make, that are going to want revenge for that. So I don't. You
But
just
we
said,
haven't really killed that many of them. As much as we've blown
you
up.
killed the ones that matter, MAGA. That's why I said if you took out Trump, you took out most of his administration. You're only talking about maybe a dozen people, but you took out people that a lot of folks in this country really like Trump and his administration. So some of them folks are going to be willing to do something to respond no matter what deal future American administrations make.
Again, we'll see, because the way we rescued that pilot and the way we were able to get in there and get him and do everything we did tells me that the people have to be on our side. Because if the people were hunting for him like they should have been hunting for him, I don't think we would have been able to rescue him like we did.
First of all, not only were they hunting for him, they had to kill 17 Iranians to get him out of there because they were actually under fire trying to get him out. They were hunting for him. Dude climbed a mountain 7,000 foot up. I mean, he didn't make it easy, but they were hunting for his ass. I gotta go. They were hunting for him.
If that was America, they would have 1,000 of us shooting at them, not just 17.
Depends on where it happened. If it happened out in the middle of Death Valley somewhere, I don't think that would be the case. Depends on where it happened.
We'll be out there really quick with some fucking huge 4x4s and lots of guns.
Right.
Especially in that area. That area has a lot of automatic.
They went into Minnesota and was beating the shit out of protesters and killing Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, and wasn't nobody shooting at them. If you send a heavily armed force, even Americans who are talking about how happy they are to have a Second Amendment, you can make Americans stand down. What happened in Minnesota is a clear example that even with the Second Amendment, you can make Americans stand down. You just got to send in a force that is arm heavy enough. I gotta go.
ICE were not invaders. ICE were just regular cops doing their job.
Ask the people. The people of Minnesota will disagree. I gotta move on. Tap the screen, get the likes up to 70,000. But yeah, I stand by that statement. I think ICE has proven that the Second Amendment is no guarantee against tyranny. Regardless of how you feel about ICE, maybe you think ICE was doing the job they should have been doing. The people of Minnesota saw them as tyrannical. And they were able to go into Minnesota, wreak havoc upon that population, and leave all unscathed. For the most part, ICE was able to go into that city and wreak havoc unscathed, and they left. There's tons of Minnesotans that have pew-pews, if you want to use the term for the internet. Did you see any of them getting in firefights with them? So the Second Amendment, to me, meant that after seeing that, that's a guarantee that does not protect you against tyranny. You can be tyrannical even if the population is armed. Looking in the comments, you just have to do it the right way. Heavily armed in a huge show of force from folks that make it clear we will kill you at the slightest indiscretion. That's what ICE did. They made it clear, you fuck with us, you're gonna find out. The people stood down. Yeah, I'm talking out of both sides of your mouth. I say Taco, the other half says he's genocidal. I don't know, somebody said, let me hang on a second here. Tap the screen, by the way, get us up to 70,000. I do want to make sure I'm changing my screen here for some reason. Freedom fighter listens to Iran propaganda. You shouldn't listen to anybody's propaganda. The problem is you don't know when you're being told the truth or when you're being fed propaganda. The Iranian people have no weapons to defend themselves against the Iranian regime that is shooting them down in the streets. Even if they did have weapons, a large portion of the citizen population probably don't want to be in gunfights. Same thing in America. If you ended up having a tyrannical government in this country, most American citizens are not going to be willing to die against a heavily armed government to fight for their liberty. Most Americans wouldn't do that. I believe a lot of Americans will stand down. A lot of armed Americans are not going to go outside and fight against, AMRAAMs and folks in bulletproof gear with military equipment. But just no matter what they got in their house or on their closet shelf, they're not about to go outside and get involved in that. And by the way, you've seen that when it comes to school shootings. You've had actually armed, trained police officers that hesitated to go into a school and save children. Everybody that carries a firearm is not prepared to lose their life defending stuff. Everybody ain't like that. I mean, there's tons of examples. That's a consistent thing I tend to do. Get over it. Keep believing. Okay, well, I'm just telling you. I'm hearing a lot of pro-USA Iranians are thinking differently after Trump's rantings and bombings. How is Iran thinking differently? From what I hear, both sides came to some kind of agreement. I don't see where Iran was just stepping down. I don't see where the United States came out of this victorious. I don't see how the United States gained anything out of this. Let me go back to the box. Tap the screen. Thanks some of you folks for helping your boy out with the hat and mustache. TikTok cap goals. We'll continue on and we'll go straight with Be More Tactical. It's an interesting name. Nobody won anything, says Wisconsin Mama. That's the way I see it. I don't see any victories right now. Be More, good evening.
How you doing, Tim?
I don't even know, man, with this threat of genocide.
So I'm gonna be like 10,000% honest because this is my second time coming up on the show. I want to just address something real quick.
Sure.
You're calling straight talk. That motherfucker gets on here talking some straight bullshit. And I don't give a damn what anybody got to say. I could say some, literally, I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. 3 times. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. And as a matter of fact, I'm sitting at a Royal Farms gas station right now near my house in Canton, Baltimore. I can tell you right now for regular gas, we're at $409 with a card, $419 without a card, and super, which is 93, is $499.
What about the claim, the notion, like what MAGA React said, that paying a little bit extra for gas is worth it if you make Iran a less threatening country to us?
Well, by making Iran a significantly less threatening country, if that means killing all of the people and government that live there, then of course they're going to be less of a fucking threat to us. And keep in mind, I'm saying everything to you as somebody who voted for Donald Trump 3 times. Technically, I'm Black MAGA.
Officially.
So that being said, I mean, it's a less safe country if it's nothing but glass because we bombed the shit out of it and all the sand turned to glass. Yeah, less dangerous.
Do you agree with the original attack into Iran?
Are you talking about when they bombed like their nuclear facilities in like Isfahan and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, let's go with the one in last June. Yes, the one where he claimed that he obliterated the facilities. Did you agree with that one last year?
In that regard, yes, I can agree with that because those were very targeted. They were limited strikes, minimal casualties to the civilian population of Iran, no casualties to U.S. troops and soldiers. It was very strategic, very well planned. I can agree with that.
So him saying last month, what is this, April? So yeah, early March, him saying that turns out they're about to get a nuclear bomb again and we need to go back. How did you feel about the second go round?
I think that's fucking bullshit. I'm going to be 10,000% honest with you because this is something that I've thought about multiple times. And I'm going to say this now. I don't care who the president is. I feel as though whether it was Joe Biden in office, Kamala Harris in office, or Donald J. Trump in office, this still would have happened. The way it played out would be different because let's be real, this is not the war that America wanted. This is what Israel wanted. And let's be real here. Israel is not above killing a sitting U.S. president to teach somebody a lesson and get what they want.
Wait a minute. You believe that, hold on. Wait, before we go into Israel, you believe that even if Kamala Harris was president right now, we would still be at war with Iran?
Absolutely, because Israel wanted it. So I believe they would have came to her, little Bibi Netanyahu. He'd have marched his ass right across the ocean, taken a very agreed flight plan so he don't fly through no other nation's airspace that wants to arrest his ass for already committing war crimes and genocide. He would have walked over here. He would have done a nice little face appearance, took some photos, a little photo op, and he'd have gotten whoever was sitting in the Oval Office to be like, hey, look, I want this war. And if they'd have told him no, the vice president would have gotten a very quick promotion and learned not to tell him no.
Damn. So your suggestion is that if Kamala Harris refused to play ball with Netanyahu, there would be no more Kamala Harris and President Tim Walz would have.
Tim Walz would be the president. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Wow. You think Netanyahu is that bad?
Israel has one of the largest lobbies in U.S. history inside of our country. They have more lobbyists petitioning for their country than we do for children having free food or access to resources and clean drinking water in our country. Yes, I absolutely believe Israel is always going to get what the hell they want.
So is it safe to assume, based on what you're saying, if what you're saying is accurate, perhaps the biggest threat to America is not Iran, it may be Israel?
I 100% agree. The United States needs to cut off Israel like a bad limb immediately.
Okay, well, I'm getting nervous about. I'm getting nervous. I don't want to get visited by the Mossad before you know it. The whole damn app goes down. It's like talking about Oprah Winfrey. Talking about Israel can cause problems.
In America, I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm gonna tell you right now, if the Mossad ever came for me, I'm gonna give them a hell of a fight for their life, Tim. I'm gonna tell you right now. They may get me, but I'm taking several with me.
They will get you, and you're assuming you would know it's the Mossad when they get. The Mossad is probably the most thorough Secret Service operation in existence. I don't think you would even know it was them. You might be eating your cereal and notice one of the flakes tastes funny. I don't think you would be able to do anything with the Mossad.
It's a good thing I don't eat cereal.
Whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking. I mean, have you ever seen the movie Munich? I'm just simply saying, if you see Steven Spielberg's version, his movie called Munich, where they show how the Mossad went and systemically got the folks who were responsible for killing Jewish folks, they're very creative. They're just very creative at finding ways to poison and just get their enemies. So you probably wouldn't know the Mossad was on to you, and by the time it was over with, you wouldn't be with us. But anyway, so you're saying we need to cut our ties with Israel. So you believe that they're getting us involved in a lot of shit that is not in our best interest.
Absolutely. Israel has a problem with Iran. The United States, we had a deal under Barack Obama. Okay. We had a multi-unilateral nation agreement where people were checking outside of the United States on Israel. And that being said, they verified. Pam Bondi even came out and said we have no ability to be able to say that they're developing a nuclear missile.
I think you're talking about Tulsi Gabbard. Are you talking about Tulsi Gabbard?
Which one is Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard Pam Bondi is the department. She's the former Department of Justice. Tulsi Gabbard is the intelligence lady. That's the one who said that.
Then yes, my mistake.
Yeah.
My apology. I misspoke. But yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. She came out. She even said that in front of Congress. We had no intel to confirm that they were developing a nuclear database or a nuclear weapon. And then they asked Trump about it. He's like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Because when they asked Trump that question, Benjamin Netanyahu had already told Trump, yeah, this is going to happen. Or,
do you think they got? Here's what a lot of you're talking about Tulsi Gabbard because Trump said that she don't know what she's talking about on Air Force One. We had a show about that. But let me ask you. Do you think do you think he has anything on Trump? I mean, to get Trump, because Trump was going to be the non-typical politician. He was not going to follow the footsteps of other politicians. It's going to be about America first. And now that he's in office, he's doing everything but.
I'll ask you this, Tim. If I told you, hey, I know you was on that dating app, I'm going to leak your nudes to the country. Or, hey, I'm a Charlie Kirk your ass. Which one would you be more afraid of?
Well, the news might give me a bunch of bitches, so go ahead and release the news. No, I don't want to be Kirk. So I get your point.
That's what I feel. That's the only thing Israel ever needs on a sitting U.S. president is to be like, hey, I will put a fucking bullet in your neck. That's the only thing they need. And guess what? Like you just said, the Mossad, the way you made it sound, they can touch you even in your own damn country.
Yeah, they can. They absolutely
We've seen it before. The Secret Service may be an ironclad thing, but there are still gaps in the fence.
Well, yeah, we've seen
those gaps.
Yeah, there's absolutely gaps. I mean, just like we've seen, I think Putin is another one that can touch you as well. And Trump doesn't really cross Putin very much at all either. So I don't know. I mean, you think he's genuinely maybe fearful of Netanyahu?
Absolutely. I can't remember what it was. I think he came up with like that speech for like the coalition of something, whatever Trump came up with, and Benjamin Netanyahu was standing next to him. When Trump normally gives a speech, Trump is very energetic. He's like very like you can tell that like Trump is like passionate about this. It's very direct. You can tell. When he gave that speech standing next to Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump seemed tired. He seemed drained. It almost felt like what he was saying was forced, like he didn't believe in it. But the whole time he said every word, Benjamin Netanyahu was standing over his shoulder. And he said every word that was written on that paper. When Trump normally gives a speech, how often do you see him look down at a speech that is written?
He's an off-the-cuff kind of guy.
He gave that speech, exactly. When he gave that speech, every word he said, every so what, look down at the paper. Look down at the paper. Read from the script.
So let me ask you.
Benjamin Netanyahu wrote that script.
So as a person who voted for Trump 3 times, I'm correct, you did vote for him 3 times, right?
Yes, sir. You are correct.
How do you letter grade, A, B, C, D, or F, like we got in school? What letter grade would you give him so far?
As of right now, Trump has degraded himself to a B.
A B as in boy.
B minus, yes.
So he's still above average, though.
He may be above average, but that is because I don't believe that he is above redemption.
Wait, say that again?
That is because I don't believe that Donald Trump is above redemption.
Above redemption. So, I mean, if you're giving him a B, you think he's doing a pretty good job still so far.
To some extent, yes. And to others, I strongly disagree. We should not be in Iran. We should have left those people alone. We should have left Obama's deal in place.
Oh.
And also, just I want to branch off for a second because I really hate it when you have Straight Talk on here and he be talking that straight bullshit.
Well, Straight Talk gives him an A+.
Straight Talk can kiss my whole ASS for all I give a damn.
Wait, hold on. As Black MAGA yourself, or Black as they call you guys, who voted for Trump, you're giving him a B. What's up? Now, Straight Talk says Trump's face should don all 4 faces of Mount Rushmore. He believes Trump has been an A+. What do you disagree with on him? Why?
That's why Straight Talk is a single man beating his meat and licking Cheeto dust off of it when he's done. Okay, so let's be real here. Come on, Tim. That man comes on here. You never agree with shit that man says. Okay, that man speaks from a place of fucking nonsensical and assholery all the damn time. Literally, Donald Trump could go out there with a sword and cut the throats of 1,000 kids live on camera, and Straight Talk would be like, "Well, those kids could have grown up to be terrorists." Straight Talk is straight bullshit. That's a fact. That being said, ignore him. I understand you run a free speech platform, but when I hear him talk as somebody who voted for Donald Trump, I 100% understand what gangster grandma means when she calls you the king of fluffing for letting people come on here and spread misinformation and disinformation, because that motherfucker ain't said one thing correct yet. Like when he came up on your platform and he said we don't get oil from the Strait of Hormuz. He's lying like shit. He's lying like shit.
Well, wait a minute. If he is lying, he is echoing, because President Trump has said that too. President Trump suggests that.
Trump is also lying. I will say that Trump is a liar.
But you're giving him a B minus.
He's America great again Republican, not a Trump Republican. Donald Trump is fucking lying.
But you're giving him but you're giving a liar that got us in a war you think is wrong a B minus. Explain.
Well, no, I'm gonna break this down real quick because I know Straight Talk is in here listening and he's bullshit, and I want him to know this because I'm gonna break him down real quick.
He may end up following you. I may have to bring him up after you, now that you done brought him up, but go ahead. Clear it up.
I mean, hey, if homeboy wishes to drop a galaxy, that's all I'm saying. You know, give Tim some money, and yeah, I'll crush you live. But that being said,
wow,
when America developed our oil industry, we only have a president in office that can alternate between Democrat and Republican every 4 to 8 years in American history. That's how that goes traditionally.
True.
So that being said, when America started developing its oil industry, we were not drilling very heavy for oil. So that being said, we imported most of our oil from Middle Eastern nations. And there are 2 types of oil. There's this heavy, dark crude oil, and then there's this light golden oil. Since we imported most of our oil from the Middle East, it was largely this light, golden, thin viscosity oil.
Mm-hmm.
And we built all of our oil refineries to be able to process that. So the reason why we sell so much oil is because the United States produces a lot of that dark, thick crude oil. And what would happen was, as the United States started developing and producing more oil that we had on our own land, we would purchase that light oil from other countries, and we would mix it with the dark crude oil that we produce. And we would go ahead and run it through the refinery, because our refineries are only made to process a medium to light level oil.
Okay.
So that is why we still sell so much oil. So when he comes on here and he says we don't get oil from the Middle East, you're straight bullshit, straight talk, and I'm telling you that now. You're a liar.
Well, even if he's lying in defense of straight talk, I'm going to say he's getting it from the president. You believe Trump is lying? Maybe he doesn't. And by the way, in the comments, Juice 9794 is making a statement that a lot of my beloved MAGA is somewhat agreeing. They're suggesting because of your criticism, you don't sound like genuine MAGA, sir.
No, I'm genuine MAGA. I'm not a genuine idiot. I'm not a cult member. I can criticize any president. Just like people come on here and wish the worst for Donald Trump, that he lost his life. That is fucking insanity. Joe Biden came out and said that he had cancer. I didn't like the man. I didn't agree with the man. I didn't like 99% of his policies. But yet at the end of the day, I would never wish that man the worst. I never feel as though we should beat our politicians with a bullet.
Wait. How do you respond to President Trump after the death of Robert Mueller saying, "I'm glad he's dead"?
I 100% disagree with that. I think it was in poor taste. Somebody is dead. You should be able to give them a certain level of respect and decorum. It doesn't matter whether you like them or not.
I'm just still trying to, what I'm asking you these questions for, because I'm still kind of baffled as to why you're admitting all of these things about Trump that are not necessarily positive while simultaneously giving him a B. Give me some of the metrics of Trump where you believe he is worthy of a grade, because C is average, B is above average. Give me some metrics of Trump that is earning this B you're giving him.
Okay, all right, fine. So that being said, Gangsta Grandma, when she comes on here, you frequently tell her about the border, and she says that Trump's numbers for encounters are significantly lower. So that means that Biden's numbers were better. That's not what that means. Gangsta Grandma, I just want to tell you, I love you. I'm a fan.
You love Gangsta. You ain't MAGA. No MAGA worth. No MAGA. No, wait, hold on. No MAGA worth the damn hat would say I love Gangsta Grandma. You lost me, and I love Gangsta Grandma.
No, that's where you're wrong, Tim. That's where you're wrong.
No.
I'm MAGA in terms of the Constitution. I may not agree with a lot of the things Gangsta Grandma says, but guess what? God damn it, I would pick up any gun in my house and fight for her right to be able to say it and have her opinion.
MAGA would dangle her from the tallest oak. There's no way in hell a MAGA's on here talking about they would defend Gangsta Grandma. You lost me at that. You love Gangsta Grandma?
I didn't. Gangsta Grandma, she comes on here, she says what she thinks, she says what she feels, that's her opinion, and she has every right under her First Amendment right to be able to say it and think it.
Let's do it like this. Let's pass it to the people. Since I got several hundred folks watching across the platforms. By way of yes or no in the comments, folks, is this guy sounding like MAGA to you? Do you believe we're talking to MAGA? Yes or no in the comments. I need to hear from the people, because I haven't heard MAGA speak in a manner as such. Are we talking to MAGA? Yes or no in the comments. Buckeye says yes. Okay. Few of you folks. All right. We won't take away your MAGA card just yet.
No, so see, listen. The crazy thing is that people think when you're MAGA, a lot of people have developed this, if you're MAGA, you have a cult mentality. You've got, what does the one guy say? He always says that Straight Talk got a case of Trump, case of head up Trump's ass syndrome.
Yeah.
Straight Talk. I ain't gonna lie. By the way, when you bring him up, I fucking love that guy. I'm gonna tell him, because I know he's probably listening. Straight Talk does not have head up Trump's ass syndrome. He's got brains smaller than a fucking walnut syndrome. Let's be real, okay? That's what I'm saying as MAGA. That man's a fucking idiot through and through.
B More, you're a very interesting guest. Have we talked before?
We have talked before, and by the way, I just want to address this too because I called you before. You were on my tripod. I was standing in my kitchen. It was some snotty nose bitch talking about my refrigerator. Saying, "Oh, he's MAGA. He does so well, but can't afford a new refrigerator." First of all, bitch, I live at the Porter in Canton, Baltimore. I pay $4,700 a month for rent for a 3-bedroom apartment. So that being said, fuck off my refrigerator, bitch.
All
Get
right.
your bank account up. Okay, your mind.
You're responding to somebody who's not here and nobody else knows what you're talking about. But B More, always a pleasure. Come on back anytime, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. By the way, tap the screen. I did not know I was bringing up MAGA, but I'm always happy to talk to MAGA. Nevertheless, tap the screen, get us up to 90,000. For my YouTube users, I'm going to ask that you smash that like button. We try to deliver entertaining programming. Doesn't cost you anything to tap that like button, but it helps out the algorithm. Definitely brings in more MAGA because I have more MAGA on YouTube. So I need for my YouTubers to smash that like button, if you will. Looking in the comments briefly, though. Iran would have a nuclear weapon by now under the Obama treaty, says Robert Kennedy. I'm just going to say maybe, maybe not. I don't listen. At the end of the day, there was a belief by some, I think by more, the Trump administration believes that the Iranians were not adhering to the deal from Obama. However, most of the free world disagrees with that. Plus or minus a Netanyahu. But most of the free world, I don't think there was any NATO member nation saying that the Iranians were not abiding by that deal. Trump said they were not abiding by that deal. In fact, Trump was saying they were not abiding by the deal before he even became president, leading to the obvious question, how the hell would he know? How would he know they're not abiding by the deal when you're campaigning? He was campaigning, said they weren't abiding by the deal. How would he know that? So, look, when it comes to Trump, we're here now suggesting that when he threatened to wipe out all of Iran, he was just using that to accomplish some type of goal. Perhaps when he said they were not abiding by the deal, he might have been doing the same thing. Maybe he wants more power in the region, control of their oil or something of that nature, or just to weaken the Iranians as a country. So I'll just say that they're developing a nuclear weapon so we can go in there and do something. Who knows? If you're going to suggest that the guy says things that may not be true because he has an ulterior motive, then you open up the door for folks to ask, then how do you know when he's actually telling the truth? That gives folks the right to scrutinize everything he says. Every single thing he says may be something that's not true because he has an ulterior motive. The guy stated he was going to wipe out an entire civilization. MAGA suggests he had no intention of doing that. He was just making a statement to gain leverage over the Iranians. So in other words, he was lying to get some other goal accomplished, which is what I just stated. Then how do you know when he's not telling the truth on something else in the future? Perhaps he may be lying about something else to get a goal accomplished. Ending the war in 24 hours. Lowering the price of groceries and to get a goal accomplished then. Think about that. Looking in the comments, Islam wants to make all of us slaves, and they pray every day. Their ideology is against humanity. I don't see that. Fancy, is that Fancy Prancy or somebody in there? I don't see that. I don't see where Islam wants to make all of us slaves. They're not even making their own people. Based on what? Where are you getting it that Islam wants to make everybody? That to me sounds like Islamophobic rhetoric. Trump lies about everything. If his movie says happy. Real quick in the comments, Bam Bam 77 says a long time. Oh, thank you, Bam Bam, for watching the live. 77, appreciate that. TikTok sometimes advises us. It's called bluffing, Gen X. Yes, but then if he's willing to lie. Bluffing is a lie. Call it whatever you want. If you're saying something and you know you're not going to do it, you're just saying it to get someone else to move first, then you're lying. You're saying something you know is not true. So I'm just simply saying that if he's willing to lie as a bluff, then how do you know when he's not lying? I mean, he says he's always saying millions of different things. He's on internet tweeting and saying all kinds of shit. How do you know when he's telling the truth or not? That's why I keep calling folks MAGA whisperers who claim they know when he's being honest and when he's not. Going back to the box, smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube. We'll continue on with the show. We'll go straight to Tamar, New Jersey's best. Good evening, Tamar. Welcome to the program. He never tells the truth. Says I don't agree with that. He tells the truth sometimes. Certainly when it comes to Iran, he made it clear he was going to go in there. Tamar, good evening.
What's up, Tim?
Not much at all. What the notion that Trump was threatening to wipe out the Iranian population? How do you view him even suggesting that?
Crazy.
But what about
crazy?
Well, how do you respond to folks who suggest that he was bluffing, as Gen X said, and it somehow, some way gave us the path towards victory with Iran?
Because they think that it's negotiating, but it's a bad negotiating, in my opinion. I mean, it's just something you don't say. You threaten to basically extinct people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm okay with bluffing in some forms, but yeah, there are certain things that should be off limits. Yeah, that should be off limits, threatening genocide. I mean, the people of Iran has nothing to do. If you're going to suggest they're killing protesters and protesters are not happy with the government of Iran, you shouldn't be threatening to kill them. So, but a lot of MAGA agrees with this. What say you?
Would say, yeah, because you know they're a cult. I was listening to a live today, and there was a lady on there from Iran,
okay.
And she was basically talking about how bad Iran is and everything. And so I made a comment in the comment section. I said, well, what does that have to do with anything about him talking about killing off a whole population of people? And they just like. They beat so much around the bush and never really answered what my question was.
I'll tell you this. To me, in my opinion, using the opinions of Iranians that are living in America should be off limits because they would be, in our eyes, a traitor to their own country. In other words, let's say some Americans were not happy in this country. And they went to one of our enemies, like Russia, or they moved to Iran, or they moved to Venezuela somewhere, and they were criticizing America while living in Russia. We wouldn't take them seriously at all. You're living with the enemy now. We would not take them. So if you got Iranians living in America and they're criticizing Iran, their words should not be given any validity. MAGA would not give any American any validity at all if they were living in Iraq or living in Afghanistan or living in Iran criticizing America. You're a traitor to the country. They wouldn't agree with them.
Their opinion was like, oh, they can rebuild. I'm like, don't you have family there and stuff? They was basically saying she was basically saying the same thing that Trump was saying, that they wanted the bombs to keep on coming and stuff.
That's to me when they ended up forming a human chain around their power plants. What is the suggestion? They wanted to die? They were ready to die, but they didn't want to.
That's what they were saying. That's basically what she was saying. She was like, that's what they want, and because they're so desperate for freedom.
And right now, while we're speaking, News Nation has a ticker on that says at this point right now, Israel is launching strikes on Iran. So much for that ceasefire. Ceasefire lasted about 20 minutes. I mean, so
I was going to say that. I was just about to say before you said that's what was going to be the problem. They were going to continue to do what they're going to do. And that guy that just called, he basically said the same thing that we're saying.
So Israel,
this was for them.
So when it comes to Israel, what are we dealing with? A loose cannon? We can control everybody else on the planet, but we can't do shit about Israel. Are they like a loose cannon?
Yeah, I would say so. And the fact is, like this was their war. They attacked. We were supposedly negotiating. There was supposedly a deal, like I was telling you the last time we spoke, that they had agreed to almost zero enrichment of uranium, and Israel, and hours later, Israel attacked. So if I'm in Iran, I wouldn't even believe this anyway. They should have never allowed them let their guard down in the first place like that, to allow that the guy that the Imam or whatever his name was.
But it almost sounds like you're saying there will never be a successful deal between America and between the United States and Iran as long as Israel is out there lurking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Yes.
So when MAGA says that Trump is on the path to winning, is it safe to assume that they actually should be saying Israel is on the path to winning?
No, because they want war everywhere. Look what they're doing in
Lebanon. I mean, they're getting what they want, though. Israel's the nation right now. They're doing damage up in Lebanon, up to the north. Now they're taking land in the process. They're going to probably end up taking Gaza or a good portion of that. And now they're blowing the Iranians to the smithereens, even with the United States trying to broker a deal. They're still bombing them using our equipment to do it.
Exactly. You know, they've in Iran, I think they've destroyed like 400 schools, like 200 medical facilities. The same day that they did that one school, they did a double strike on a gymnasium full of like volleyball players and stuff. The same day. And my thing is, everybody keeps saying, "Oh, they did it to their own school." They wasn't even firing back yet at that time, because they didn't start firing back till at least 3 to 4 hours after the initial attack.
Well, in regards to
this is all facts.
Yeah, but
all facts.
I'm not disagreeing with your facts, and in fact, I believe your facts. But in regards to Iran supposedly bombing their own school, I don't even think most MAGA believed it. I think most MAGA even believed that Trump was bullshitting when he tried to suggest that the Iranians got their hands on a tomahawk and decided to bomb their own school with it. I think even MAGA knows that's not true.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Don't. You think MAGA believes? You think
some of the stuff these people are talking? Yes. Some of the stuff these people be talking to, and I just drop into lives and hear some of the stuff like a MAGA live. It is unbelievable how much of a cult this is. How much orange Kool-Aid they're actually drinking, like gallons of it.
Well, I just had Black MAGA on here a minute ago. He's only giving Trump a B-, and he's holding him accountable.
That's surprising because all the stuff he was saying was so true. So how do you give him a B-?
I couldn't.
That was so confusing.
Yeah, that was a tad confusing. I couldn't figure that part out. But I did give him.
Stick said in the comment section, he said, "How come you didn't turn him liberal like we did the other guy yesterday?"
That's a good point. Stick be on it. That's a good point. I should have took that right. I'm upset though. That here's why I'm upset is that one man on our behalf could threaten to commit an act of genocide, and all of our leaders in this country, talking to Congress and Senate, did nothing. Now, even if Trump is bluffing, they literally left it up to him to show if he was bluffing or not. By the way, the Pentagon was doing what they refer to as creating dual-use targets. So we can talk about whether Trump was being serious or bluffing or not. The Pentagon was taking him seriously. They were presenting dual-use targets because they know what he threatened was a war crime. So they were going to give him a list of targets that they could somewhat finagle the rules and say, well, this could be used by the military. They were picking out targets in Iran, so they actually believed him. The Pentagon did. So
I honestly don't think they would have dropped a nuke, but I think they would have. I think if you let's say you bomb all the power plants, all the water places, all the bridges, it's basically the equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb because the amount of damage and stuff that you would have done, and supposedly you were supposed to be stopping them from getting a nuclear weapon and saying that if they had one, they was going to use it. And you go and do basically the same thing that you were supposed to be stopping them from doing.
Yeah, and I see it.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, the idea that one man could do all this on our behalf. He ain't even went to Congress and declared war, and yet he's talking about wiping a civilization off the face of the earth. Now, Takesha in the comments says Congress is in recess. Mike Johnson will not bring them back. I've been saying and that's true. That is true. And I've been saying for the longest that after Trump is gone, you're going to, once Trump is gone, I believe you're going to get a series of anti-Trump laws to prevent any future president from skirting a lot of things. I think that's going to be one of them. You can't let one member of Congress hold up the whole damn institution. If this guy won't do it, it should be a way where enough of them can vote to call Congress back around, just like you can veto if the president vetoes something. If you got a majority, you can go around the president. They need to be able to go around this guy.
I'm sorry.
I'm simply saying Mike Johnson alone should not be able to do Trump's bidding and prevent all of Congress from holding sessions and meetings. Congress, they need to have a rule in Congress where if enough of you guys vote, you can force a meeting even if Mike Johnson is refusing to call it. Because he is obviously in the camp for Trump deep. He's actually compromised to some degree. They need to change that.
The entire administration is compromised, all the way from Whiskey Pete down to Pam Bondi. Well, now she's no longer there; she's gone now. But I don't think she's going to have too much time. All the stuff that she knows, I don't even think. I don't know how to say this for TikTok friendliness, but I think she's in danger.
Pam Bondi?
Because she knows too much.
You mean like on the live danger? You think they're gonna give her the Epstein treatment at Pam Bondi?
I mean, shoot, it's not off the table.
Well, to be honest with you, if that's the case, all of them know too much. I mean, except the double taps and all of that shit. I mean, there are plenty of people in the U.S. military that are probably going to be called to testify before Congress once it's a liberal Congress. And some of them are going to probably say some of those Venezuelan drug boats, there was no evidence they were carrying drugs. There was no evidence they were on their way to the United States. I mean, once people start getting called to testify, you're going to get to the bottom of a lot of this stuff.
And you have to ask some of your MAGA callers about all this inside trading, like what Whiskey Pete was doing, investing in a wartime in a defense company or something like that right before the war started. Like him, Straight Talk, all of them. You need to ask them.
Yeah, but they're gonna bring up Nancy Pelosi. I believe Nancy Pelosi made a ton of money doing the same shit. Not to say that I do agree with you. There's members of the Trump administration and many of his friends that are probably making a killing off insider trading. I believe there's quid pro quos all around. Trump gets a Qatar jet. All of a sudden, folks from that country are being given access to train how to fly F-15s in Idaho. That didn't come from nowhere. So yeah, Trump is, look, he got a ballroom where he claims none of the money for the ballroom came from the taxpayers. Just a bunch of anonymous people just decided we got extra millions of dollars to give you. We don't want nothing for that. That doesn't make sense. So yeah.
And speaking of which, how the hell do you stop something after he puts a big ass hole in the side of the White House, and then you say, "Oh, you didn't get you need Congress permission to build this"? Like, shouldn't you have stopped that before he put the started the demolition?
Well, first of all, he didn't have a right to build it, but I mean, they stopped it as soon as they could, I guess. And by the way, I'm looking at the breaking news on News Nation, and it does say Israel intercepts missile from Iran. So they taking shots at each other right now in the middle of a alleged ceasefire. So goes that. And if Israel's back in it, then America's back in it. So I guess Trump will be releasing some type of correction to his ceasefire tweet that he sent out earlier, probably within the next few hours. Ceasefire over with.
Ceasefire. I think they just was trying to, hey, we're gonna stop, and then still do the attack. You put too many soldiers over there. You have too much stuff, too much equipment over there to just call it, say you're gonna agree to a ceasefire. Yeah. Please.
Let me ask it to you like this. Trump has a tendency to love and then hate you tomorrow. What are the chances if his administration takes a lot of flack for this war that even a lot of MAGA don't favor, Alex Jones don't favor. Tucker Carlson doesn't favor. Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, none of them favor. What are the chances he may blame this on Netanyahu and have a falling out with him?
I don't know. But
Everybody already believes, everybody on the MAGA side already believes that's who caused this. So he can easily blame it on him. Everybody already believes it's his fault anyway.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, chances are that won't happen because it's too much money. AIPAC and Israel has too much money in our government on both sides.
Yeah, but
That's
Trump likes to protect his image. And this war could end up causing his image to take a really big hit. And you already got a villain out there. Your party and a hell of a lot of liberals already, your party, when I say your party, I mean, talking to Trump, I would tell him your party being MAGA and a hell of a lot of liberals already believe Netanyahu is the one that's getting you to do this. You already got the villain. You don't think Trump is going to suggest that, listen, this is the guy you should be mad at?
Well, if he does it, it will be one of his many visits, and then it would arrest him, and then that's
well, you can't arrest Netanyahu.
Get it off.
You can't arrest him.
Why not?
I mean,
why not? He's got an international warrant, right? for war crimes.
What a minute. Well, and I don't know about that.
If you want to put the blame on him, that's the best way to do it.
I don't know about that, but I will tell you this. There are a lot of Israelis that are not happy with Netanyahu too. Just like there's a lot of Americans that are not happy with Trump. There's a lot of Israelis that don't like that guy. They don't like him. So, I mean, he makes the perfect villain. If Trump needs a scapegoat, come up with a reason why Netanyahu gave you bad intel and you thought you were doing what was best for the country. And it turns out this man had an ulterior motive and gave you some bad intel.
Yeah, that would work. But I mean, what I was saying would work too. So he visits more time. He visited last year like at least 5-6 times, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I think 7.
How many times?
7, I think. I think he's been there. Yeah, he's been there a lot. So him and Trump obviously had a lot to talk about.
Even doing when Trump was running, he came and went to Mar-a-Lago and visited him, and they was talking.
I don't know. They may have a falling out, man. I don't know. Trump and Netanyahu may have a falling out. I mean, if you cause Trump to look bad, that normally don't sit well with Trump.
Well, he did get mad at him, right? Remember when he had what Carter was it? Remember when he when they were I think right after we had the 12-day war, I think they didn't stop. They kept on bombing. They kept on attacking each other. They kept on attacking Iran, and he was like, he cursed. Yeah. Trump cursed. Remember?
Well, Netanyahu.
I think that was.
Yeah, Netanyahu is going to seize on this opportunity. Iran is a huge. Now we can talk about them getting a nuclear threat and any issues with them sponsoring terrorism, but fact is, Iran is a huge threat to Israel, not America. So right now, Netanyahu is going to take he's going to take this as far as he can because this is giving him the opportunity to do something that no American president was going to let him go this far. Because even Obama went over there and was complaining about the Israelis encroaching on, settlements in Gaza and shit like that. Trump has pretty much told Netanyahu, finish the job. So he's going to take it as far as he can.
But that's what I'm saying. Trump is probably, oh yeah, we have a ceasefire, but he's telling Bibi, like, keep going. You get what I'm saying? So
you mean giving him a wink, wink?
Yes. Exactly. I mean, look at it. 2 times in the calendar year, they were in the middle of negotiations, and both times Israel started the attack. If I'm not mistaken, correct?
I don't know who started it. I don't know who started it tonight, but
it was Israel.
Huh?
It was Israel, and then in February it was Israel, and then we joined in.
Wow.
Both times. Why we were in the middle of negotiations?
Well, here we are, and I see in the comments. A King says he literally said he's been waiting on this for 40 years. Trump is a patsy. He said Netanyahu literally said he's been waiting on this moment for 40 years.
Since the 80s. Since the 80s, he's been talking about this. The 80s.
So that's our big winner, Benjamin Netanyahu. I gotta move it on tomorrow, but that is our winner. That is our winner. Huh?
Yeah. I said you probably had a full head of hair in the 80s. I was a little kid.
That is crazy. That's like
And you
40
still
plus
talking the
years.
same talk.
Yeah, that's like 40 plus years. Wow. All right, Tamar. This is depressing, but I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
All right, Tim.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program, by the way. Trump has been waiting. I don't think Trump has been. Listen, Trump was a Democrat in the 80s. He wasn't waiting on this. I don't believe Trump has been waiting on this. Look, the way Trump moves all over the place. I mean, one day he's over here, another day he's over there. He is not consistent in a lot of areas. I don't think Trump has been waiting on a bomb in Iran or anything like that. I don't see that. Looking in the comments real quick, tap the screen, get us on up to 120,000, and they will be fighting for another 40 plus years. Yeah, the only way this is going to stop is for Trump to do what he suggested, which is wipe the Iranians off the face of the earth. What did he say he was going to do? What was the actual verbiage? A civilization is going to die tonight, is what he said. That's because, look, you don't kill so many people in Iran. Even if you get a government that works, that gets involved in a deal with the United States, there's still going to be people in that country that hates America and the West. This is why I used this example earlier with one of my other MAGA callers. I said that, let's say an enemy like Russia or somebody took out the head of our government, like we took out the head of Iran. We took out the Ayatollah. We took out his wife and kids and then a lot of the top generals and lieutenants. That would be like taking out Trump, Hegseth, Rubio, Vance, and other members of his administration, some generals. Just imagine somebody taking out that much of America. Now, we have a constitution, so we would propel other people up to leadership. So just like in Iran, our way of operating would continue. And if we had a new government in this country, after you wiped all of the Trump administration out, that made some kind of ceasefire deal with Russia, you're still going to have people in this country that are not going to want to honor that. That's what I'm saying. You're going to have people in Iran that's not going to want to honor any ceasefire. Like in this country, think about the people that really like Trump. Oath keepers, 3%ers, Proud Boys. You think some of them, let's say you got another administration that replaced all of the folks we lost from bombing Trump in his administration. And that administration made a deal with Russia to have a ceasefire. You don't think a bunch of armed members of the Proud Boys or armed members of the 3%, people who really like Trump, would still be jonesing for some get back? You would still, that's what we call terrorist groups in Iran. We would have that in this country. We would have them trying to figure out ways to get back at Russia for taking out a leader that they thought was doing a good job. Taking out the Ayatollah has created those kind of groups in Iran. The story remains on how we'll end up dealing with them over the years, but they're out there. Doesn't matter if we make a deal with Iran. Those groups are out there, just like they would be out there if it happened here. Looking in the comments, Handsome Conservative says, this is a chance we take all the time as Americans. It's an unnecessary chance, though, Handsome Conservative. We getting involved in a lot of shit that ain't necessary for our survival or anything. Some of this stuff is optional. I think there are more Americans in this country, and I mean Americans that are even among those who believe that Iran should never be a nuclear member nation. I still believe, even amongst those folks who believe that, there are more Americans who believe what Trump did invading Iran was an optional as opposed to necessary conflict. I don't think most Americans think this was necessary. It was optional. Very similar to how history has now viewed the Iraq War. Same thing. You didn't want Saddam Hussein to have weapons of mass destruction, but it was optional. It wasn't necessary. This war will likely go down in history as optional, not necessary. The women of Iran are treated like trash, cutting off citizens' whenever they are about 12 so they can cutting off citizens' wieners. Let me just, how many times do I have to say this? President Trump uses oppressed people in these countries as a way of tugging at the heartstrings of particularly MAGA so that they will believe it is justified to go in these countries. When you look at Trump's policies with ICE, does he come across as a leader that gives a shit about oppressed people? Haiti doesn't even have a government. It's in full-on civil war, and he's deporting people back to Haiti. We got Afghans in this country that are being deported back to the Taliban that they helped American soldiers fight against under the Trump administration. Why do people believe he actually cares about the Iranian citizens? That's comical, in my opinion. He's deporting folks back to Somalia. Somalia doesn't even have a government in place. It is the Wild West over there. He doesn't give a shit about people that are being oppressed. He's using that because it gives MAGA a way to say, well, look, he's doing something, he's looking out for the citizens over there. He don't care nothing about them. Trump makes deals. His children have big time deals with the Saudis. You can be killed for infidelity in Saudi Arabia. Women can be killed for infidelity in Saudi Arabia. But all of a sudden he cares about what's happening with the Iranian citizens. That's a ruse. There's no validity to that. If Iran gets a pro-Western leader in that country, they can abuse their citizens all they want and Trump will be okay with it. Just like Saudi Arabia has pro-Western leadership in that country, and we're okay with them. They literally behead people in public in Saudi Arabia with swords over menial, trivial shit. They literally do that. Keep in mind, Trump negotiated to give Afghanistan back to the Taliban. What do you think they're doing? What do you think the Taliban is all of a sudden for democracy? What do you think the Taliban is doing? So bringing up that Iran oppresses his own people is laughable. Trump don't care nothing about that. He's making deals with the Taliban and the Saudis and shit like that. But suddenly when it comes to Iran, they're oppressing their own people. Okay. All right, real quick. They'll cut off your hand if you steal, says Mike. Well, a lot of Americans want that one, though. A lot of Americans believe if you're caught committing an act of theft, you should have your hand chopped off. Listen, you got a lot of vengeful citizens in this country. Anyhow, since the likes and everything ain't moving, I guess this program is dead for tonight. I'm a little upset still. I'm going to admit that I'm still upset, but I'll stop it here because of the likes and all. You guys apparently have had enough of this, just like I have. I'll read a couple of comments first, though. What is worse, Iran, Taliban, or chattel slavery? I think chattel slavery is probably the least worst out of all of them, because with chattel slavery, the goal wasn't to kill the people. Let's say with African Americans, for instance. I would rather be an African American during a period of slavery, and I hate even saying that, but I would rather be an African American during a period of slavery than be in a government that would literally kill me for any or anything. I mean, look, as long as you're working, I guess they'll leave you alone. I don't know. They're all really, really fucking bad. They're all really, really bad. Yes, I believe crime would almost stop. Crime would never stop. I don't know why folks, particularly right-wingers, believe that real tough penalties will stop crime. It doesn't. Tough penalties do not stop crime. It just changes who the criminals are. If you allow the government to do whatever they want to criminals, they start becoming criminals themselves. They start using that power in corrupt manners. Maybe one of the guards or the cops favors some chick. So now she has to perform or risk being persecuted in some kind of way. They start becoming criminals themselves. So you don't lower crime by toughening the penalties. You just switch who the criminals are. Stop and frisk, something we try in this country. Giving police additional powers, letting them wear masks and shit like that. They start becoming the criminals, violating people's civil rights, shaking people down, beating people and shit like that, and then lying about it, which is some of the things that ICE has been caught doing. Give the police too much power, and they start becoming criminals themselves. The U.S. supplies the world with ammunition and artillery, then get upset when they use them. There is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. What happens is we supply our allies with weapons, and then when they vote in a leader that doesn't play ball with America, then we have to go in and spank them. It's as simple as that. Saddam Hussein is a perfect example. We give them equipment, and then when they don't play ball or sometimes they start feeling empowered, then we have to go in and spank them. And that usually means, killing the guy. Trump is the ultimate deal maker, but cannot make this deal. I don't know how he's even viewed as the ultimate deal maker, in my opinion. I don't see it. I know he says that, though. I know he – remember, he was the guy that was going to end the Ukrainian-Russian war in 24 hours. And I'll tell you, I totally believed it. I believed that he had a significantly better relationship with Putin than Obama, Biden, or even Bush. I actually believed when Trump became president, he would end that Ukrainian-Russian war fairly quick. He would work with Putin, and that would end pretty quick. He really, really failed at that. That war is going on just as much now as it was when he got elected. He really failed at that. So I don't know about him being an ultimate deal maker. I don't see it. And he met with Putin, had the guy over here on the red carpet, gave the guy fly over at the taxpayer's expense, put him in the presidential limo, the beast, all of that shit. Nothing came out of that. Deal maker my ass. He met with Kim Jong-un in North Korea at the demarcation zone, whatever you want to call it, demarcation zone. Nothing came out of that. Now, he refers to all these meetings as great and great phone call. Yeah, but what comes out of this stuff? Nothing. Kim Jong-un is just as much of a tyrant as he was before Trump met him. And obviously, Putin is still doing whatever he wants to do in Eastern Europe. I don't see. So, I absolutely disagree that he is some kind of great deal maker. But nevertheless, like I said, you guys seem to be a little lazy on the thumbs and all of that good shit tonight. So we'll end it at this. It's your boy, Tim, the Handsome Liberal. I'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Thank you. Catch you later. I don't know what I'm getting here, but I'll end it right here.